I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
But she's demanding top dollar.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
It is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it.
So they're not going to have to pay me for their portion?
Do you have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect.
This is Judge Judy.
Brandy Brown is suing her former tenants, Jeremy Stith, his brother, Jared Stith, and Riley Dawson, for damaged and stolen property and unpaid utility bills.
Order. All rise. It's case number 433 on the calendar in the matter of Brown versus Stith Dawson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Miss Brown, you were living in a house. Did you own the house or rent the house?
I rented the house, Your Honor.
So it didn't belong to you. How long had you rented the house?
I lived there for 7 years.
Did you have a lease?
No, Your Honor.
Who owns the house?
When I moved into it, my ex-mother-in-law owned the house. She has since passed, and so my ex-husband has inherited the house.
Did you pay him rent?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
How much?
$1,100 a month.
And when did...
April of 2016.
I'm going to cut through all the chafe. Eventually, your two nephews, raise your hand, two nephews, they moved into the house.
Yes.
You had somebody else there, one of your kids or something, they were moving out. You let two nephews move in, and they brought in a friend. That would be you.
Yes.
Your Honor. The friend did not move in until I got married and moved out.
That's okay. You moved out. In what month and year do you allege that they either damaged, destroyed, or took property that you own?
It was May of 2019.
Are you all still living in the house?
The two of us are.
Riley and myself. Jeremy has moved to the Bay Area.
So the two of you were living there?
Yes.
With anyone else?
Another roommate, Alex.
And who do you pay your rent to?
We pay our rent to a property management company that deals with John directly, the property owner.
And how much do you pay in rent?
We now pay $1,600 in rent.
And when you moved out, Miss Brown, when you got married, did you all sign a lease with the new property management company?
Yes.
That is correct.
Do you have a copy of that lease?
Yes, it's in here, right? And
month, June 1st, 2019. Now, it is your claim that at some point, there's no question that when you moved out in May, were they paying rent prior to your two nephews prior to your moving out?
Yes.
How much rent were they paying?
$625 they were paying to me.
When you moved out in May, what items did you leave there?
I moved out, however, in April of 2017. My son lived there until May of 2019. That's why my things were still there for the boys to use until my son moved out.
May of 2019.
That's when my son moved out, yes. I left my things, they had nothing.
What things?
Okay, when I moved out, I left my washer, dryer, my fridge.
Hold on. Washer.
All of my household items.
This isn't your house. This is a rental house. So is what you're telling me you purchased the washer,
Yes.
the dryer.
Yes. Yes, the stove and... I'm sorry.
Stove.
The fridge, the microwave, the air conditioner, the lawnmower.
Just a second.
I'm sorry.
And you have the bills for all of that.
Yes.
I'd like to see them. Well, something that's here for $1,000 was purchased in 2003. Who was living in the house in 2003?
I brought the refrigerator when I moved in. I have no idea who was living there in 2003. When I moved in 2011, I already owned the refrigerator. I brought it with me, along with the stove and the microwave.
When you moved in, there was no refrigerator.
The house was empty.
And you brought in a refrigerator that you bought that's now 26 years old.
Absolutely, yes.
Is it a refrigerator that you're still using?
it is, and it's leaking all over the kitchen.
Great, she's going to come and get it. You would like that, right? Then you can get a new refrigerator.
It wouldn't be bad.
Right, she's going to come and get her 27-year-old refrigerator. This is a Lowe's.
I purchased a stove at the same time. That's 2003 as well.
Do you still have the stove?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. The 25-year-old
Thank
stove. This is a washer-dryer that was purchased October 9th, 2017.
Yes. The ones that I left there broke, I bought the new pair. My son was still living there.
Do you have the washer or dryer?
We do.
She's going to come and get it. I don't see any other receipts.
When I left that house, everything in that house, 98% of it was mine. Everything, the couches, everything. But I don't have receipts for everything.
All I'm telling you is those are the things that you're going to get. Your washer, your dryer, within 5 days. Now you claim that the defendants owe you a gas and an electric bill.
Yes.
From what month to what month?
Well, this bill says it closed at 6/10 of 19.
June 10, 2019.
Yes. 5/13 to 5/20 of 19.
So for a week?
However, there was a previous balance.
Is what you're telling me that they owe you for a week?
There was a previous balance on there. I don't know the exact dates of the previous balance.
Well, then I can't help you. Maybe it was when your son was there.
It was when my son was there.
Then I don't care.
Well, they paid the bills. They divided them by 4. I'm only asking for a third. There's 3 of them. There's still there. My son paid his portion.
I don't know that.
Your Honor, so they're not going to have to pay me for their portion? I'm confused.
Well, so far, you're talking to me about a week's worth of electric and some appliances that are worth nothing.
Exactly.
That are going to cost you more to move, and I don't know what you're going to do with them. But if you want them, you go get them.
The issue, Your Honor, is that when I moved out, I told them they may keep my things. I married someone who also had a house full of furniture. When my son was leaving, I would come and retrieve my items. When my son told me in January he was leaving, I told him, what are you going to take? He didn't decide.
Listen, you can't tell me about the conversation that you had with your son. Right purchase that they say is still there, and you're going to come hire a moving company and pick up this old trash. Now, I want to know what bill that you are alleging they owe you.
The gas and electricity bill.
For the 1 week was how much?
The 1 week was $14.09.
$14. Now, what is the other balance that you allege?
It was $74.89.
And the entire bill?
Was $88.98. I paid it already.
So you've taken off your son's share?
No, my son paid his share.
I don't know that.
All right, you're right. I have taken off his share, yes.
So it's $74 divided by 4.
It was $88.98 divided by 4.
Well, then what did you say? What was 74?
Because the $74.89 was the previous balance. Then that 1 week after my son left was $14.09. And I also have a gas bill as well.
So you have an $88 bill. Is that correct?
$88.98, yes.
$66. Now, next.
The gas bill.
And how much was that?
Altogether was $72.76. We have the same problem with that back and partial.
And was that when your son was living there?
Yes.
72 divided by 4 was 18. 72 minus 18 equals plus 66 plus 14 equals $134. $134. You have any questions about that?
No, I'm clear.
Perfect. $134 is yours. You pick up your washer, dryer, stove, and fridge within 5 days, or they have the right to either keep it and consider it abandoned or trash it. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Do we have a counterclaim? Nothing. We're done here. Thank you very much. There's no
they
however.
Destroyed my property.
There's no however.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They destroyed my family's belongings.
It's unfortunate, for sure.
While I'm on the ground crying, the one boy was laughing.
She said I was laughing and that she was crying on the floor.
I don't mind about Jared, but I will never speak to Jeremy again.
Close the chapter. It's a great day.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Latin versus Alvarez. Step forward.
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Miss Latin, you and Mr. Alvarez were married, and
Yes.
then you were divorced. When were you divorced?
We got divorced in October of 2018.
And then you decided to see if you could make a go of it again.
Yes, so Alan...
When did you start living together again?
We never actually lived together again. He was living...
So you never jointly owned an apartment after your divorce?
No, we did not.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
At some point, you gave him a credit card.
Yes, June
What's
of
the name of the
2018.
credit card?
It is a Discover card.
And you gave him a Discover card that was in your name.
That is correct.
You made him a user on the card.
No, he was not an authorized user, so basically he had asked me to utilize this card to be able to...
Just a second. He was not an authorized user.
No, he was not. So he asked to use this card to be able to pay for school. I gave it to him in June of 2019, and he basically has stated that he wanted to utilize it to pay for his upcoming classes. He stated that it would be no more than...
Did you ever use the card together?
Yes, Your Honor.
No.
Sure. You never used the card for any purpose together?
No,
All
we
of the
didn't.
charges on the card since June of 2019 are his charges?
That is correct.
I'd like to see them.
Yes, I have all of the paperwork for you. So as you will see...
No. I just want to see. Well, we have Domino's Pizza in June. Who ate the pizza?
We both did.
He ate the pizza. That...
No, he didn't eat $40 worth of pizza.
Maybe him and his family utilize it, you know.
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
Is what you're telling me in June, when you gave him the card, because that's when this first bill is, there's Domino's Pizza in Houston, Texas.
Yes, that was not my transaction. Once I gave him the card, once again, it had a $0 balance.
We're not going in the same direction. I didn't ask you whether he used it for some of his expenses. I asked you whether you ever used it jointly, like when you went out and grabbed dinner.
No.
You said no. Okay, he's going to tell me his side of the story, then I'm going to figure out who I believe.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Who's supposed to make the payments that were yours?
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could.
You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
No, ma'am.
why do you even go at it?
Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
Now, then we had a new balance. That's a big balance. And that was in August, $2,000. Amazon, July 13th, $690. For whom?
I think she bought one.
No, you have a camera.
I bought one, too.
He charged...
Shh. At one camera, but then I have a Best Buy, and then I have an Amazon Marketplace for $587. Pay attention to me. Did you buy a camera?
I do not have a camera. So once again, what he did with that is basically he utilized the card to be able to buy these purchases. And I'm not sure what the $587 one was, but I do not have it in my possession. And once again, this card was supposed to be utilized only strictly for school. But
Hey, you keep saying that, and what I'm telling you is I want to know that when you went someplace together, did you say, well, use the card?
No, we use mainly debit cards.
That's false.
No, that's correct. But we use mainly debit cards for purchases together, preferably not credit cards.
A new balance, and that was September, so somebody paid the bill.
Me, because I seen how high it was beginning to get. And
so, just a second, so you paid the bill?
Yes, I paid something on the bill. Because at that point, I had realized how much he was racking up on this card that was supposed to be utilized for school in August, only for $350, which I confronted him about it. From there, he actually sent over one payment for about $100 to be able to pay down the card. I care for my credit, and I don't want that balance to be, you know,
So you made a payment in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, once I seen how much.
Just a second. Well, who charged 2 tickets on British Airways on August 3rd?
That would be him. He has a friend who's having a wedding in Italy or Rome, and so he said that he wanted to surprise me with a trip there. So he actually charged for that amount. And I have...
Just a second. I'm not getting involved with playing house with this. That's sort of your problem. I want you to show me proof of what you paid on the card.
I have proof of payments I made.
I didn't ask you anything.
I'll bring it up to you.
No. What is it?
I have my bank statements.
How much you paid on the card?
I've paid $460 on it.
Yeah, but the camera was more expensive.
Yes, ma'am, that's true.
Well, who was supposed to make the payments that were yours?
Or a verbal agreement between each other was I could make payments whenever I could after a split up.
Well, just a second. You could make payments whenever you could? You think that I'm going to believe that?
No, ma'am.
You think that I'm going to believe that? So
no, ma'am.
Why do you even go at it? Listen, I'm not going through these things because that's not what courts do.
Sure.
You clearly owe more than what you paid. Go outside and figure out what are yours. Well, somebody better return the tickets.
I have
Just a second. Outside, figure out what you owe on the card. Whatever is a meal, pizza, Chick-fil-A, Olive Garden, I don't want to know from it. I only want to know what purchases are yours on this card.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Clear. Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll see you whenever I see you. Later rather than sooner, I hope.
This case will be recalled.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with two people that aren't married.
Yeah.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case earlier today, Letitia Latin is suing her ex-husband, Alan Alvarez, for unauthorized credit card charges.
All right, have you gone over the list of items that are there?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see what you've identified as your items.
She got the list.
Well, what items?
$7 on Amazon Market. A combined charge of Domino's and Olive Garden, which comes out to $44.25.
And you didn't go there together. You went there alone.
I went with her.
No, he did not, Your Honor. And then also, in regards to those charges, I actually have...
I'm going to throw this back at you. What I asked you was $44. I'm not splitting a bill from Olive Garden. I want to know what are your charges on this. Have you figured it out yet? And if not, you can go back, figure it out, what your charges. I don't want Olive Garden. I don't want Pizza Hut. I don't want Domino's Pizza. I want what your charges are. And if you can't do it, I'm sending you home.
I have my charges here, Your Honor.
Then what are your charges?
I have $206.10 for PayPal, and a combined of
what was $587?
Ma'am, it was a camera.
$587 for the camera.
Yes, ma'am.
What else?
The $206.10 for PayPal.
What did you do with that?
I went to a convention and.
What else?
And $277 for my insurance payment.
Insurance?
Yes, ma'am. Car insurance.
And that's what the two of you discussed and agreed to outside?
We did not agree. So once again, Your Honor, even the charges for, the beginning of this where he was stating that I, put some on the card, I was actually out of town. And so how can I partake in charging anything on these cards? And then once again, he also had sent me a list of text messages showing that he was aware that he owed a balance. He got mad at me because I didn't want to take him back and have intercourse with him, and this is where he got upset and no longer wanted to pay the balance.
Let me explain something to you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by...
Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Courts don't get involved in this kind of business with two people that aren't married.
Yeah, I understand.
We don't get involved with this. I'm being very kind to you.
Yes.
I'm saying you gave him your credit card, and there isn't a question in my mind that you and he used that credit card together for certain things. I am not dealing with that. I'm not splitting an Olive Garden bill, a Domino's Pizza bill. Did you return the plane tickets?
The plane tickets, I actually have...
That's a yes or a no?
No, I did not.
So you still have them?
Yes, in my possession, which I actually have seen that they will give me basically some type of credit for it.
Good.
But I don't think I should be held responsible for his portion of
judgment
it.
for the plaintiff. We're done. Return the tickets.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on
I'll showdown in her consignment shop.
She grabbed my hair and started yanking it, and we started fighting.
Someone was arrested. That would be you.
Yes.
Judge Judy.
None of these charges were mine.
She told me I could do whatever. I did whatever.
He had cheated on me.
I did, but there's a reason why.
Just be more careful with who I trust my heart with, because apparently that did not work.
She's spiteful, angry.
You try to give people a second chance, it doesn't always,
She was the meanest person I've ever been with.
She asked for time to pay.
You tell the stranger, I only have $1,000 to give you down. Can I make payments on the other $2,000?
But time ran out.
You took the car. You still have the car. And you didn't pay her the balance.
No, ma'am, I did not.
So give her the car back. She'll give you the $1,000 back.
I asked her if she would take the car back. She said no.
Judge Judy, she's not telling you the whole truth.
This is Judge Judy. Carol Althoff is suing Tracy Johnson for the unpaid balance on a car she sold her.
Judge, this is case number 16 on the calendar in the matter of Althoff versus Johnson.
You sold a car to the defendant. What kind of car was it that you sold?
It's a 2008 Volkswagen Jetta.
It didn't belong to you. It belonged to one of your kids.
Yes, it was my daughter's car. I was just the co-owner on the title.
How did you find the car?
I found the car through something called Facebook Marketplace.
Okay. And it was a 12-year-old car. You negotiated a price, correct, with the plaintiff, and the price was $3,000. Is that right?
Yes.
So, Miss Johnson, this is your problem. You bought a 12-year-old car for an agreed price of $3,000. Then you tell this perfect stranger, I only have $1,000 to give you down. Can I make payments on the other $2,000? She agreed. So far, am I correct?
Yes.
You took the car. You still have the car.
Yes.
And you didn't pay her the balance of $2,000.
No, ma'am, I did not. There's a reason why I did not, though.
Why did you think? Yeah, you said you spent a lot of money on it and you couldn't get it smogged. Is that right?
That is correct.
So give her the car back. She'll give you the $1,000 back.
I tried to give her the car back. I tried to give Lauren, the person who I was dealing with, her daughter, the car back. The second day that I had it, I asked her if she would take the car back. She said no. Her father came to my door, and I asked him if he would take the car back, and he said no.
Just a second. All right, listen to me. They may have said no. Now we're in court. Okay. And now I'm telling you, they'll give you back your $1,000. They'll sell it to somebody else.
Judge Judy, she's not telling you the whole truth.
Listen, I'm here to make things quick and easy. She can't have the car and not pay for it. She doesn't want the car, clearly. Is that right?
I can't use the car.
You clearly don't want the car. She can't use the car. According to her, she's put in some money into the car. Brakes and, well, that's her problem. I don't care about that. Then she was silly enough to do that before she had the whole thing tested and everything else. That's her problem. So you're getting back your car with new brakes. And what else did you do to the car?
I had the two back tires changed.
And you have 2 new tires.
I know my daughter doesn't want the car back.
I don't care. She couldn't get the car smogged. That's what she says.
Well, the story with the smogging...
And you live in the state of California.
Yes, we do.
You can't sell a car in the state of California that can't be smogged.
What my daughter had arranged with her...
I don't care.
And well,
it doesn't matter to me.
Well, she had arranged with the defendant that she had told her, I haven't had the car smogged, and I need to get it smogged. And this is the reason why, was because she had had some work done on the car, and when the car, they took it to be smogged, they said it wasn't ready, because when you unplug the battery, you have to wait with this particular car.
Listen, you're not paying attention to me, and I'm not hearing you. Now, you are asking me what she arranged with your daughter. That's hearsay. See, I'm here to resolve this matter. You're getting back a better car than you sold to her a couple of months ago. I assume you didn't take any cross-country trips because you couldn't drive the car. Is that correct?
I could not drive it because I couldn't register it.
Do you have the title to the car?
No, I never got the title to the car.
We gave her the title to the car, Judge.
Is it registered in your name?
No, it is not.
Because she did not go register it.
Who's now? Shh! Hey, listen to me. If you speak out again, I'm going to just dismiss your case. Do you understand that?
Yes,
This
I
is not
understand.
a party that we're at. In whose name is the car registered?
I believe it's Lauren's.
You never took it to DMV?
No, I didn't.
To change the
because,
title?
No, I went to DMV, but they told me that I couldn't register it because it didn't pass smog. It needed a smog certificate. So when I went to the smog place, it can't pass smog.
So the only person who's on the title is her daughter? And you?
I'm not sure.
And her?
And her, I think so. I think.
But you're not on the title?
No.
Very good.
Your Honor,
What?
may my witness testify to something?
You're getting the car back. That's it. You're getting the car back. And she gets the money that she put in. She paid you how much? $1,000?
Yes.
Right. That's what she gets back. Then she'll go buy another car, and you'll find somebody else to sell this to, understanding that it did not pass smog twice. And if there are any specific, you have to dance around it, click your heels 3 times, and say, I want to go to Oz before you try to re-smog it. You'll give them those instructions. Right now, she's giving you back the car. She gets a $1,000 deposit back. You're getting a car with 2 new tires and new brakes. Goodbye. be happy, have a happy life. We're done. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
My daughter trusted somebody who said that they would make the payments.
I wanted the car when I wanted the car, and they should have had it smogged.
They had worked out the deal with what was going to go on with the smogging.
And I knew that, and I took the car anyways.
The lady canceled numerous times. My daughter was trying to work with her.
Don't have a friend test drive it for you, for starters.
And the lady wanted the car then.
And make sure that it's smogged.
And my daughter trusted her, and she took advantage of her.
All parties in the matter of Pesanowski versus Morgan. Step to the podium, please.
Kendra Pesanowski is suing her former friend, Megan Morgan, for vet bills regarding the euthanizing of a dog.
Miss Pegnowski, there is no way that this is a happy case. You had 3 small chihuahuas.
Yes.
You were moving from one apartment to another, and I must assume from the complaint that you filed, you could only take 2 of them with you.
Correct.
The oldest of those dogs was
Queen.
And how old were the others?
They were 5 and 10.
So this is what happened. You had to make a difficult decision, either moving. And was it part of your lease that you could only have 2 dogs?
Yes.
And you made the decision that you would part with the older one, and you called a friend of yours, that's the defendant, and you asked her if she could take the 15-year-old.
Yes.
You do understand that that's sort of a big responsibility to ask someone else to do, to take an old dog, which is going to require care. The dog is quite senior. That's a sort of a big responsibility to ask someone else to do.
Yes.
But you did it anyway. And the defendant, who has dogs, how many dogs do you have?
I currently have 5 chihuahuas.
She said she would take, is it a boy or a girl that she took?
It was a girl, and she happily said she would take her. And the reason why I was going to...
Well, let me explain something to you. You asked her to do you a favor. So it's not that somebody's happy to take a 15-year-old dog. Someone says, I will do it because the alternatives sound awful. So you brought your older little girl to her house, and you gave her the dog.
Yes, she happily took the dog, and...
No, don't tell me happily. You gave her the dog. That's
Yes, ma'am.
either yes or no. Her dog.
Yes, ma'am. The defendant arrived at my house later that evening on the 28th of February. She stated that she couldn't keep the dog. I graciously accepted taking on the responsibility.
Miss Morgan.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Morgan, she had called you first. She didn't just
No,
show
ma'am.
up.
It wasn't a call. It was she reached out to me via text message on Messenger through Facebook.
Okay. Do you have those messages with you?
I do have the messages with me.
Would you read them to me, please?
Yes, ma'am. Hey girl, long time no talk to. I hope you're well and life's treating you great. I'm reaching out to you because I'm having to make the hardest decision of my life. I have to move to a place that I've lived for the past 2 years by March 1st. I found a place at last minute that will take me with my horrible credit, but absolutely not 3 dogs. I thought long and hard, and I feel Tater would be the best to be put in a retirement home setting for senior dogs. But no one is working with me with Tater. She's mostly deaf and has some cataracts, but otherwise is very healthy. Well, shoot me a call. My number is, this is my response. So you're looking for a home for just Tater? Yeah, I'll take her. I mean, I already have 5, but what's 1 more? Oh my God, you're amazing. Call me. I'm in Ramona at the moment. I'll call you when I'm back and finally stop crying. That was on February 26th at 9:54 in the morning.
When did you drop the dog off? On the 26th at what time?
At around noon, she came to my home.
Okay, and then tell me what happened to the dog.
She left the dog in my possession. Everything went great. She was playing around with my kids. She was in the house. She was treated like one of my own.
How many children do you have?
I have 2, a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old. I went to bed that night. Tater was fine. She was actually sleeping in my bedroom on my floor. My dogs free roam in my house, so it wasn't an issue. She did suffer from incontinence, so it was kind of an issue with my husband, and I told him that I would address it at a later date, that I would get her a crate or something to have her own provisions for that dog. The next morning, I got up at 5 a.m. I let all my dogs out in my secured backyard, and by 7 a.m. when I got up to get my kids ready for school, I received a text message from my neighbor stating that there was a dog whining in my backyard and she looked hurt. When I went outside to look for said dog, she was sitting by my back gate and she had a laceration to her right shoulder. The moment that I had found the dog in that state, I contacted Kendra and said that Tater had been hurt, that she's at my house and that I needed her to come down and get her because I had to get, at this time, this is before COVID, my 2 small children had to be at school by X-Pin, what we use in rescues. I had her bed out there with her and everything. Kendra arrived and picked up Tater and then proceeded to take her to Animal Medical Center in El Cajon due to the laceration on her right shoulder.
So let me understand this, Miss Morgan.
Yes, ma'am.
You called the plaintiff.
Yes, ma'am.
And told her to come and get the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And take the dog to the vet.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, right now, Miss Morgan, you do understand that the law says that you are the dog's owner.
Okay. I do not know the laws by
time,
heart, so I do not know that.
Well, I'll tell you. When she asked you to take the dog, and you agreed to take the dog, and she brought the dog to you and relinquished control of the dog to you, she relinquished any interest that she had in the dog.
Yes, ma'am.
To you. So when you called her and asked her to come and get the dog and take the dog to the vet, you were asking her to come and take your dog to the vet. That's the law. I know it may sound ridiculous to you because you had had the dog less than 24 hours, but it's still your dog, and you were asking the former dog's owner to take the dog to the vet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she, therefore, under those circumstances, as silly as it may sound to a layperson, she was acting as your agent. Asking for is for you to pay for the dog's vet bill.
Yes, ma'am, and I understand that. She did not request me to pay for the vet bill. I would have gladly paid for the vet bill. I have a stack of bills sitting in front of me that shows that I am a responsible pet owner, that I have paid for...
No. So, Miss Morgan, what did she ask you for?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I did try to call her so many times, and she blocked me.
No, not blocked you. That was later. I'm talking about, do you have any evidence that on the 27th, when you were at the vet, you tried to contact Miss Morgan? The answer is either yes or no.
Kendra Pesanowski claims former friend Megan Morgan owes for vet bills after she euthanized a dog due to Megan's neglect.
So, Miss Morgan, what did she ask you for?
She didn't ask me. So after she retrieved Tater, she took her to AMC Vet, and she took it upon herself to have the dog euthanized. She didn't seek treatment for the dog. I was then threatened. I had to block her on Facebook.
Hold on.
Yes, ma'am.
You had the dog euthanized because?
They wanted to do surgery, and it was going to be $3,000, and I did not have the money and not survive.
Did you tell?
I could not get a hold of Miss Megan.
Well, I would like you to show me on your phone on the 27th of February, sometime early in the morning, that you tried to contact her so that the owner of the dog, because now she's the owner, could make a decision as to whether or not the dog should have surgery or should be euthanized. Because if you made that decision by yourself, madam, then you'll pay your own vet bill. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Preliminarily, you gave the dog to the defendant. She asked you, acting as her agent, to pick up the dog to take it to be treated at the vet. You just told me that you made a decision when you took the dog to the vet because of the dog's age and the fact that you didn't have money for surgery to have the dog euthanized. And I have to see that you made efforts to contact the dog's owner because, you know, that doesn't have to be done in a moment. That could be done in an hour or two in the time that you possibly could reach her. Do you have any evidence that on the 27th in the morning, when you were at the vet, you tried to contact Miss Morgan? The answer is either yes or no.
I would have to pull it up, so I do not have...
I have time. If you say you tried to call, don't waste my time. So if you have proof that you tried to call me at the vet on that morning so that the owner of the dog could make a decision as to whether she wanted to spend the money for surgery or not, I'll read that. If you made the decision, then you pay for the vet bill yourself. And if the vet bill was $700, then that's your responsibility.
I did try to call her so many times, and she blocked me and would not answer my phone calls.
No, not blocked you. That was later. I'm talking about calling her from the vet in the morning of the 27th. Did you call her from the vet the morning of the 27th?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
After the text message was sent that she said I killed her dog, I received a phone call from animal control stating that I was neglectful and she was making up these stories so that they would come and investigate me.
All right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kendra Pesanowski claims former friend Megan Morgan owes for vet bills after she euthanized a dog due to Megan's neglect.
Now, did you call her from the vet the morning of the 27th?
I did. I need to look and find the proof. I need to
Go.
May I state something
Go.
while she looks
Look
for
on
the
your
proof?
phone.
May I state something
Sure.
while she looks on the had gotten the text message later on that evening that she had indeed put the dog down.
Was that the first time you heard
Yes,
from
ma'am.
her?
That was the first time that I heard from her. The text
Could you
message.
bring that up?
I would love to. I have a new cell phone. I don't have any of my text messages from my prior phone. My number's been changing and everything.
You brought up the other text message from
That was
prior.
via Messenger off Facebook. So logging into
I
my
see.
Facebook is one thing, getting my actual text messages from my prior cell phone is another. So after the text message was sent that she said I killed her dog because she had to have her euthanized, I received a phone call from animal control stating that there was allegations that I was neglectful and that I had more animals than I was allotted to have on my property, and she was making up these stories so that they would come and investigate me.
All right.
Upon talking to them is when animal control had informed me where the dog was euthanized.
Don't tell me. Don't
Yes, ma'am.
tell me what anybody told you. She had the dog euthanized. She said she did.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I said, first off, the vet has never even heard of any animal ever leaving a dog with these significant injuries in a cage in the cold outside by their driveway, complete neglect. Second, for you to have said you couldn't take her to the vet because yours was close.
Listen, not that you're blaming her. Sometime later, I asked you to find a phone call that you tried to make to her from the vet. Look, it's very unfortunate what happened to your dog. You called the defendant because you couldn't take the dog with you, all three. You made a choice of which one. You chose the oldest one. She took the dog. You brought the dog there. There is absolutely no evidence, and you don't have any evidence, and I certainly don't believe that the defendant did anything to harm your dog. She took your dog in along with her other dogs. By the way, did you tell her that your dog was incontinent?
No, she was not incontinent, ma'am.
When you called her, okay.
I would not rehome a dog that was incontinent.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. Now, do you have any proof that you called her from the vet so that she could make a decision as to whether, or she's now the dog's owner, that she could make the decision about whether to euthanize the dog or to have surgery?
If I had been smart and pulled up the phone records, I would have evidence.
Okay, but you don't.
I don't.
So, in life that way, it's always said we can't always pick the way we or our pets go. So, your vet bill was $700, is that what it was?
It was $342.
Yeah, you take care of it yourself. You made the decision on how to treat the dog. You take care of it yourself. Your case is dismissed. We're finished. Thank you.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, their conflict is at a crossroads.
He's 100% at fault when he hit my car.
Well, they only sent her 50%. She wants the whole thing. What do you think?
Judge Judy.
I don't know why she would put the dog, a Chihuahua, in a cage in the driveway.
Any dog rescue uses what they call X-pins.
When I have an hour drive to go pick her up, and she was still in the cage, bleeding.
The dog was not in a confined space. She had a bed. She had a blanket.
I feel like it's my fault that the dog is dead.
A sad story that the dog had to perish. If she would have actually called me from the vet, we could have come to agreement and had Tater still here with us today.
Sparked an idea.
when COVID struck, you decided to branch out on your own and have a mobile beauty salon.
Then she got in a tangle
How did she defame you?
with her former salon.
She displayed on Facebook that I owed her $1,200.
You filed the restraining order against her because she threatened to put a gun to your head.
This is Judge Judy. Hairdresser Sean T. Jackson Washington is suing salon owner Lucretia Munns for defamation of character and loss of business.
Judge, this is case number 52 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson Washington versus Munns. Parties have been sworn in. Ladies can have a seat.
Thank you. Miss Washington, you're a hairdresser.
Yes.
And so is the defendant, correct?
Yes.
For some time, you rented a chair in the defendant's salon. When did you start renting a chair to do your work in her salon?
It was around a year and a half ago.
How much did you pay her? Did you pay her per week, per month?
$100 a week.
And Miss Munn, do you own the salon or do you lease it from someone else?
I own the business, but I lease the shopping center where my salon stands.
That's what it's your business, I understand that, but the premises is not a premises that you own, you lease it.
Correct. For 2 years from Jake's Plaza, the landlord's name is Abraham.
How much do you pay in rent?
$1,200.
And I assume you have a lease.
Yes, I do.
When does that lease expire?
It goes month to month. It started month to month in April.
April of 2020, it started to go month to month. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Prior to the governor of California shutting down because of the pandemic all beauty salons, was Miss Washington paying her $100 a week on a regular basis?
She sure was.
And the governor closed beauty salons in March.
March 19th, yes.
Very close to the time when your lease was up in the salon.
Yes.
And you were going month to month.
Correct.
Did you pay rent to Jake's Plaza for the salon in April of 2020?
I paid it in June for April. Yes.
That's not what I asked you. You did not pay it in April.
No, I did not pay it in April.
Did you pay rent to Jake's in May?
No, I did not pay it in May.
Then the governor allowed salons to open.
Correct. For 2 weeks.
Did you pay anything in June?
Yes.
How much?
$3,600.
Did the governor permit salons to, and that's after you had paid up your rent?
Correct.
Because you hadn't paid rent in April and May. He or Jake's Plaza was not going to let you back into the building unless you made up the rent.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
Okay. Now we're all set on that. Now, it is your claim that when COVID struck, you decided that it was a perfect opportunity for you to try to branch out on your own and have a mobile beauty salon.
Yes.
Very inventive, very smart. It is your claim that the defendant has a couple of items that you left behind in the salon when it was closed.
Not true.
Yes.
Some hair extensions.
Yes.
No, she didn't leave any extensions.
Yes. Now, did you have an opportunity to go into the salon and take your items? The answer is yes.
Yes.
And I assume that you had a lot of items there because you were working there.
I didn't have a lot of items. Basically, the things that I had was underneath my station.
And where were these extensions?
The extensions were in a bag that was under inside of the salon.
Where?
They were next to a microwave that was in a cabinet underneath.
That's my hair.
Do you have her hair extensions?
No, I do not. I sell hair.
Hair extensions? No. You should have taken them when you left. Okay. The next part of your lawsuit is defamation of character.
Yes.
How did she defame you?
Facebook is where you advertise your business. You have thousands of people who are your friends on Facebook, and whatever.
I don't have 1,000. Just a second. So listen to me. I know what Facebook is.
Okay.
I don't have 1,000 friends. That's why I'm not on Facebook. You know, it would get very lonely in there with the 1 or 2 people that like me and that I like. So I communicate with them on the phone. So you're lucky if you have thousands of people who watch you on Facebook. My question was a simple one. How did she defame you? What did she say, and in what venue did she say it?
She displayed on Facebook that I owed her $1,200 in booth rent.
Never.
And she had all these stylists and different people commenting. I have.
Just 1 second. May I see what you're complaining about?
Yes.
Because what she says is you owe her $1,200 in booth rent, and I would assume that that's booth rent after the governor had closed the salon.
No,
but after June, when you started to pay rent, and you did make up your rent. So I would, let me see, I have to do a Karnak. Anybody know who Karnak was? What's in this envelope?
No.
I would assume that these Facebook posts were made sometime after June.
Yes, they were actually made on the 13th of September.
Of September?
Yes.
Oh, she must have been very angry. Okay.
Yes.
May I see that, please? Yeah. Well, you know, just like you stiffed your landlord, she did the same to you. That's exactly what happened.
Judge Judy,
may I please see what you're complaining about?
Okay. This is her question on Facebook, and...
Okay, just a second. This question is for independent... Okay, here's the one. Is that what you're complaining about, where she defamed you?
No, I have 18 pages.
Show me where she defamed you on Facebook.
These are all Facebook.
She rented out rooms. Where is your name in there?
She never said my name because she knew proper protocol on Facebook. However, read what she put on Facebook. She called me.
May I see your name anywhere?
She knew not to say my name, and she told her witnesses not to say my name.
Okay, that's dismissed. We have nothing. Let's get to your counterclaim. Ms. Munns, this is your counterclaim. You say that she filed a restraining order against you that had no basis.
No basis at all, Your Honor.
Miss Washington, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
Did you file a restraining order against her? The answer is yes.
Yes, because I have a Facebook.
Just a second. You say you filed the restraining order against her because she threatened to put a gun to your head.
Yes,
That's what you say?
Yes.
Did she say that to you?
No,
personally?
She said it
or
on
did she
Facebook.
write it somewhere? I'd like to see it.
Okay.
You know, I speak the truth. If anyone thought they could sneak up on my husband, I'm pressing something upside the head. Okay. You felt threatened by that. Is that what you're telling me?
I felt threatened by everything that she said, from calling my husband and fake here. That read it on Facebook, and she knew, along with the 4 people on my voicemail, that she was talking about me and my husband.
Miss Washington.
Yes.
Pay attention. We're finished with your lawsuit. I've dismissed that lawsuit.
All right.
Now I'm on her counterclaim. Her counterclaim is that you filed a false protective order against her. Your defense is that while she was careful on Facebook not to mention you by name, you believed she was talking about you when she threatened to put something against somebody's head.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, Ms. Munns, I'm going to deal with the part of your counterclaim that deals with filing a false restraining order. That's dismissed.
Why is that dismissed?
I'm going to explain it to you.
Okay.
Because the plaintiff believed that as a result of your Facebook posts, she believed that you were talking about her. Now, you probably were.
I was absolutely not.
And when there is a hint of a threat, which there was.
Can I please
in
put
that
this up? Because
I read it. She felt threatened, reasonably so, because the other Facebook posts, while they don't mention her by name, I believe she had reason to believe that you were referencing her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You didn't pay your rent when you were supposed to, and the only way you got back into your shop was to pay up the 2 months that you didn't pay. That's when you got angry and said to her, I want my rent.
And later today,
You ate the steak. You and your mother lived in a place and paid rent. And then you continued to live there and not pay rent. Why would you think you're entitled to the rent back?
hairdresser Sean T. Jackson Washington says salon owner Lucretia Munns defamed her on Facebook. Lucretia is countersuing for stolen and damaged property, rent, and loss of business.
Now, what property did she take without permission?
A human hair wig that she wore and used.
Okay, just a sec. Hey, tell me the things that she took without your permission. A wig, and what else?
And a blow dryer.
I have them with me today.
You have the wig and the blow dryer.
Yes.
Give them to her.
We don't want...
Give them to her.
She's been personally wearing them. They're saturated. I can't resell them. That's saturated.
Done.
That no one is going to repurchase it.
Done. Okay, now the last part of your counterclaim is for rent. For what period of time are you alleging that she owes you rent?
It's also for damages to the floor. She
Up.
owes me
For what period of time
from
do you
April
allege she
1st
owes you rent?
until she said that she was holding the chair until July.
That case is dismissed. We're done. Thank you very much.
What about the damage to
Did
my
you pay
floor?
rent in? Did you?
Yes,
did
I
you
did,
pay,
and here's
did
my
you pay rent
cancel
in
checks.
No.
Here's all my cancel
Just
checks.
a second.
I paid them all.
No.
I paid all the rent.
Yeah, Miss Munn, let's understand this. You didn't pay rent in April. You didn't pay rent in May.
It says right
In
here, rent for July, May, and April. So I did pay it.
You're not getting
I'm not
over
trying
on
to
me.
get over on you. I'm
You're
trying to
not?
explain something
Well,
to you.
then you have to.
Can I please explain this to you?
I understand it.
When we were
You
shut
don't
down,
have to
we didn't
explain
have
it.
money to pay those bills. As soon as we got our pandemic relief to pay our bills, she was still responsible for her portion of the rent. She rents a space to run a business out of.
You
just like
did
at
not,
your house.
Raider,
I
cut
paid
off
it.
her mic. You didn't pay your rent when you were supposed to, and the only way you got back into your shop was to pay up the 2 months that you didn't pay, and then the governor shut you down again. That's when you got angry and said to her, I want my rent. Goodbye. We're done. Finito.
The case is concluded. Parties are excused.
We were all supposed to pay our rent.
Jealous of what I got planned, my mobile hair salon.
I wish her the best in that.
She was paid, and she was trying to get money from me. She was trying to double dip.
At the end of the day, you have to fulfill your obligations as a salon independent contractor.
The friendship is done forever.
All parties in the matter of Taylor versus Wild, step to the podium, please.
Michael Taylor is suing his former landlord, Lucy Wild, for the return of rent and relocation costs after an illegal lockout.
Let me see if I understand this case. It seems, Mr. Taylor, that you and your mother moved into a premises as tenants in September of 2019, premises that was owned by the defendant. At the time you moved into that place, that area, you had, in fact, seen it. And it was, in fact, a window. But you moved in anyway. And you lived there in September, and you paid rent.
Yes.
And how much rent did you pay?
It was $1,400 a month.
You paid $1,400 in September, $1,400 in October, $1,400 in November.
Yes.
And I assume that both you and your mother work in order to make this money.
My mother was not working at the time. I was working.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a bartender, waiter in the hospitality industry, and I also am a music producer and mix engineer, which I do freelance.
Okay. Then in December, you and your mother were still living there, but you did not pay rent.
No,
correct?
that's not true. I paid rent.
In December?
In December.
Now, at some point, you called some housing authority
Yes.
to register complaints about the house. When did you do that?
I made my complaint in December.
Okay. As a result of that complaint, the city where you live sent out an inspector.
Yes.
And after the inspection, the premises were found to be premises that should not be rented.
Correct.
Is that correct, Ms. Wild?
Yes, it is.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you are renting out an apartment and it's an illegal apartment, he ate the steak. And you know, I don't approve of eating the steak and then complaining.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Taylor says his former landlord, Lucy Wilde, owes for the return of rent and relocation costs. After an illegal lockout, Lucy is countersuing for unpaid rent.
Okay. Does anybody have a photograph of where you were living?
I do have some pictures, yes.
Could I see it, please?
Sure.
You and your mother lived there. You evidently thought it was nice enough for you and your mother to live there. It looks like it's a sort of an attic-y loft kind of place.
Correct. It was.
Is that correct?
It was a loft.
Does it have a bathroom?
It does.
It does. Okay. Very good. But they said she shouldn't have been renting it because it probably wasn't zoned. I mean, the place looks totally reasonable. Okay. So after that, you knew, Miss Wilde, that you shouldn't be renting it, even though he and his mother were perfectly comfortable there September, October, November, and December, because you stayed January, February, March, April, and May and didn't pay rent, right?
I paid rent in January, and then I didn't pay rent in February and on, yeah.
Well, okay, so you paid rent in January. Why?
I didn't...
You liked it.
Well,
I
did like it.
In February.
Because the city told me that it was an illegal unit and it was illegal for her to collect rent.
Now, you're suing because you want your money back that you paid her.
Yes.
You ate the steak. You know what that means? If you go into a restaurant and you order a steak and the steak comes out and you taste it and you say, gee, this steak is terrible. I can't eat this steak. And you call the wait staff over, you're that business, and you say, I can't chew this steak. It feels like rubber. I'm sending it back. You are perfectly within your rights not to pay for it. Not if you eat the steak and then call over the wait staff and say, you know what, I ate that steak. I really didn't like it, and I'm not going to pay for it. You and your mother lived in a place, and while you were living there, you paid rent. And then you continued to live there and not pay rent. Why would you think you're entitled to the rent back? Had you ever rented that space before, Miss Wilde?
Yes, one other time. That was news to me that it was not a registered rental when he...
And when you called the whatever housing authority you called, what was your complaint?
My complaint was that I was still missing the window because she hadn't installed the window. And, well, that was it. Because after I did research on habitability and tenant rights, and having an open window like that could be an issue and be deemed as an illegal unit. So that was the initial complaint.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Now, you understand, Miss Wilde, you have a countersuit, and your countersuit is for the time that Mr. Taylor and his mother lived there without paying rent. But you do understand, Miss Wilde, that if you are renting out an apartment and it's an illegal apartment, for whatever reason, a court can't give you rent for that. You do understand that, right? That would be silly. I mean, if the state says you're not allowed to rent that apartment, and what your countersuit is for the rent that he didn't pay when he was living there, I can't do that, even though he ate the steak. And, you know, I don't approve of eating the steak and then complaining. Do you understand, Mr. Taylor?
I do.
Good.
Coming from the hospitality.
Your claim is dismissed, as is your countersuit. We're done. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Her car was totaled. She ended up in the hospital the day of the accident. Was there insurance on it? If not, I'm going to make you look so ridiculous.
There was no insurance on it.
Judge Judy.
There was a reason why I called Housing Authority. It was because she hadn't done work for months that was making my house uninhabitable.
No, they had a gorgeous place. It was beautiful.
It was like living in a circus.
I think that's what they do.
I was due relocation costs because that's why I didn't move.
They're just squatters.
They ought to make you have this dog muzzled at all times.
A neighborhood menace unleashed.
Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. Mr. Nebrita was not present.
A second attack repeated the terror.
Gary came to the front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again.
This man let his poodle come into your garage. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family?
This is Judge Judy. Gary Wong is suing his neighbor, Ronald Nebrita, for vet bills, broken glasses, and emotional distress due to a dog attack.
Judge, this is case number 76 on the calendar in the matter of Wong versus Zeke, please.
Thank you, Bird. Mr. Wong, you have a little dog, a poodle. Is it a standard poodle? Is it a miniature poodle? Is it a toy poodle?
He's a 10-pound miniature poodle.
How long have you had him?
Had him for over 3-4 years.
It is your claim that on 2 separate occasions, one in March of this year and once again in September of this year, that the defendant's dog, while unleashed, bit your dog. You have some substantial vet bills that you want him to be responsible for. Would you tell me about the first incident that happened in March of 2020?
Yes. So the incident happened at 10 a.m. Pretty much I went downstairs to walk my dog with a leash. And as I walked
No, just a second. Stop. Did you say off the leash or on the leash?
On leash. So he was on leash.
On leash.
Next to me. So I walk 3-4 houses away from my house, and then I noticed that Mr. Nebrita's dog came over and pretty much circled around my dog and pretty much made my dog anxious. And then before I knew it, Mr. Nebrita's dog bit my dog. And then at that time, Mr. Nebrita was not present.
But had you ever seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before?
I have seen Mr. Nebrita's dog before.
So there was no question that the dog was his dog and came from his house. How far does he live from you? So pretty close. How long have you had your dog, Mr. Nebrita?
For over 2 years.
Where were you on March the 30th, 2020?
I was actually
at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I was actually upstairs in my apartment.
And who was responsible for your dog?
My neighbor Paul was actually, I asked him to watch Athena as I went upstairs.
Okay, so you were outside with your dog whose name is Athena. What kind of a dog is Athena?
Athena is a German Shepherd and a Siberian Husky mix.
So you had been out with the dog?
No, we usually hang out in the garage. She sleeps in the garage, and, you know, we go up and down into the apartment. And Paul, my neighbor...
Okay, you and Athena were in the garage.
Right, at the time.
And at the time, Athena was off-leash with you in the garage. You were putting around.
Yes.
Your neighbor came in and you went upstairs.
Correct.
And you left your neighbor in charge of the unleashed dog.
In the garage, yes.
In the garage?
Correct.
Well, I assume the garage was closed.
It was open.
It was open, so that the dog could just walk out of the garage.
She could have, yes, and yes, because it was open.
Well, that's what she did.
Yes.
That's what she did. She walked out, and she was off leash.
Correct.
So there's no question that you're responsible for any vet bills that the plaintiff has for the March 30th incident. Now, did Mr. Wong come to your house? How did you find out that your dog had bitten his dog?
Well, he came to my house, not knowing that he actually went to the vet for his dog, and I told him that, you know, I would be, as neighborly, I would help him out with some of the bill, if I had extra cash or whatever.
Not neighborly. Did your neighbor with whom you left Athena tell you that your dog had been involved in an incident? The neighbor is here.
Yes.
Let him stand up. I want to see him. Would you move over, please? You're his neighbor. What is your name?
Paul Poilii.
You were watching Athena. Is that what he told me? Is that true?
Yes, I was.
Now, Athena left the garage and went across the street.
That didn't happen.
No, look at me. Look, just a second.
At you.
Look at my eyes.
Yes.
Athena left the garage and went across the street. Did you follow her?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And then they approached each other. The two dogs approached each other, and then that's when I seen Gary's dog bit Athena. So she reacted and bit it back. And then...
That couldn't have happened if Athena wasn't out without a leash. Sit. What were the vet bills for March 30th?
The March...
Did he give you any money towards those bills?
So after I approached Mr. Nebrita to try to work out the situation, he was telling me the situation is like, oh, with COVID, everything, it was very difficult for him. So we tried to work out a plan.
Did he give you any money is my question.
No.
The answer is no, he did not.
No.
Now, I'd like you to tell me what happened on September 16th.
So what happened on September 16th, it was 7 p.m. and I came down from my apartment and I was going to take out the garbage and then walk my dog right after. And I look across the street and I see Mr. Nebrito walking over to another neighbor's house located. And so I assumed that he was going to talk to some friends. Then I look over to where his place is, and then I noticed that his dog, Athena, was right across the street staring at my dog.
Stop. Was she across the street alone?
Yes, across the street alone and unleashed.
He wasn't there?
No.
I mean, he was walking over to another neighbor's house?
Correct.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
That Athena was across the street. Now, was your dog on a leash?
He was on leash.
Yes?
Yes.
Then tell me what happened.
So I went down to pick up my dog, and then before I knew it, Athena ran over and pretty much bit my dog. So then I'm trying to grab Athena to try to get him off. And I just hear like bites after bites, and then I'm just trying to shout, "Get off my dog, get off my dog." Soon after, I hear Mr. Nebrada saying, "Athena, get off, get off." And then after a couple bites, then he finally let go of my dog.
Your version.
I was in the garage
Nebrita,
with Athena.
Your version.
I was in the garage with Athena. Gary came to front of my garage. Athena noticed that he was coming in, and they actually scuffled again. And it wasn't even that long of a time for her to really actually bite and attack her, but no.
Are you telling, listen to me.
Yes.
Nebrita.
Yes.
Are you telling me that after the March incident, this man let his poodle come into your garage? Is that what you're telling? That's what you want this face to believe?
It happened in front of my garage.
This is what you
Yes.
want? This is what you want this face to believe, that after this young man witnessed his dog being bit in March, he came over, crossed the street from his house to your house to the open garage.
Yes.
He did that.
In front of my garage.
You're an idiot. You want me to believe that after he witnessed his dog being bloodied in March, that had to be stitched up in March, to your unleashed dog, who was again sitting in the garage, sitting in the garage. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't you have family who watch television? Don't humiliate yourself. How much were the bills in September?
The bill in September was $4,500.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. They ought to make you have this dog muzzled at all times. And you better check your homeowner's insurance. If you have a job, the next time it happens, they're going to garnish your salary or take away your car or whatever else they have. Goodbye. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
With Athena being a larger dog and Gary's dog being smaller, his wounds were a lot worse.
It's definitely a relief to actually get some sort of conclusion.
Well, I was in the garage when Gary did come in front of the garage.
Well, especially with the first incidents, I avoid his house as much as possible.
All parties in the matter of Estrada versus Barreco, step forward, please.
Angela Estrada says her former tenant, Madison Barreco, moved out owing for rent, bills, and damages to her home.
Miss Estrada, the defendant was a tenant of yours.
Yes.
From when to when?
She originally rented the house in June of 2018. She moved in with her boyfriend.
I didn't ask you who she moved in with.
I'm sorry.
I just said, when did her tenancy start?
Her tenancy started
June of 2000 lease or a 2-year lease?
It was originally a 1-year lease that went to a month-to-month tenancy thereafter.
So she was a tenant of yours from June of 2018 to May 31st, 2019, when she became a month-to-month tenant.
Yes.
Thereafter, she was your tenant until June of this year?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
From June 2018 to June 2019, did the defendant pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am.
And from June of 2019 until May of 2020, did the defendant pay you rent?
Yes, ma'am. Not always on time towards the end.
Well, you were aware as a landlord that there was a moratorium on eviction for tenants.
Yes, ma'am. I never tried to evict her.
That's not my question. Why don't you let me finish my question?
Okay.
There was a moratorium on eviction for non-payment of rent because of the pandemic starting in March. You were aware of that?
Yes, ma'am.
And despite the fact that you were aware that you were forbidden to evict the defendant, she paid.
No, ma'am. She didn't pay in April.
No rent in April. In May?
She paid April's rent in mid-May, and she paid May's rent at the end of May.
What difference does it make? You got paid for 3 months' rent, despite the fact that you had no recourse if she stopped paying you rent.
Yes, ma'am.
Correct? So she was one of the good guys who continued to pay rent even though their landlord would have no recourse if they stopped.
I didn't have an issue with her paying the rent.
So that's just, well, that's not 100% true. Because you have in your complaint late fees.
Yes, ma'am. That was in our contract.
You understand what I'm saying. So I'm eliminating that. And the only part of your complaint that I'm going to hear is, because the rest of it is nonsense, Mr. Strader. You should say thank you very much for being an honest person and paying your rent, even though I couldn't have done anything to you if you didn't.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Without my permission, Ms. Barreco painted the bedrooms. She left painter's tape. It peeled all of the paint off.
You hadn't painted the house in 5 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, she gave you a security deposit, and the security deposit was how much?
$1,000.
Did you return the security deposit to her?
No, ma'am.
So you kept the security deposit, for which I assume you were alleging damage.
Yes, ma'am. Lots of damage.
So far, $1,000 of that you've kept for some of the damage. Now I would like to see what you are alleging she caused in damage to the premises that is $4,000 worth.
Absolutely. We had an appointment for her to come through a walkthrough. Actually, we made several appointments.
That is not a question that I asked you. What I asked you was I'd like to see photographs of the damage that you are alleging she caused to the premises. Photographs.
Okay. This first photograph is of the security door as you get to the house. And when I got to the house, the security door couldn't close any longer because it had been pried open at some point, and it would no longer shut, lock, or close.
Okay. Stop right there. Leave that there. Miss Barreco, how did that happen to the door?
The door, it was not that bad. There was one day that we were outside. We had to pry that open because of how old that screen was.
Okay. Now, what I'd like to see is a bill to repair that door, the security door. Okay. Security door replaced, new security door installed, replaced broken jambs, new door installed. Okay. $360. What's next?
When I got to the house, this is the air filter in the hallway, and it had never been changed, and it was actually sucked up into the vent. I know it hadn't been changed because I dated them.
You should have changed it. You're the landlord. Next.
This is one of the rooms. The carpeting could not be cleaned. It was filthy, so I had the carpeting removed.
And you want her to pay for new carpeting?
Yes, ma'am. The carpeting was brand new when she moved in.
The carpet was not brand new. She had tenants living there before me.
I had it professionally cleaned before she moved in.
But it wasn't brand new.
It was not brand new.
That's a different, just a second.
I apologize.
That's a different story.
It was
That's a different story.
Like
What's
new
next?
conditioner.
What's next?
In one
What's
of the bedrooms,
next? 360.
Without my permission, Miss Barreco painted the bedrooms and then tried to repaint over where she had painted them. She left painter's tape attached to the walls. When I took the painter's tape off, it peeled all of the paint off.
Mrs. Strada, how many rental properties do you have?
Just the one, Your Honor. This was my grandfather's house. He left it to me.
In what year?
It would have been almost 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years ago in a month from when he passed away.
And have you constantly rented that house?
Well, I spent a year renovating it. I took out a very large loan and renovated the whole house.
Just a second. Has the house been consistently rented since then?
Most of the time, yes. There might have been a month or two gap, but for the most part, it's been rented the whole time.
Have you done any renovations or refurbishing since you totally renovated the home 11 years ago?
I replaced the carpet 5 years ago, 2 years before Miss Barreco was in it. So when I say I replaced it, it would have
5
been...
years ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Did a new tenant move into the house?
Since Miss
After
Barreco left?
The defendant left?
6 weeks after, yes. She started renting in August. I spent 6 weeks fixing everything.
So she moved in August 1st?
The new tenant moved in August 1st, yes.
And you were paid your rent from the defendant through most of June?
Yes, ma'am.
So the only month that you didn't have...
was July.
Was July. And you hadn't paint, according to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Time to paint.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you know anything about a broken window?
The window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners, so I was not going to pay for the window that they broke.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it, I don't know.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Angela Estrada is suing her former tenant, Madison Barreco, for property damage, utilities, lock changing fees, and for prorated rent she never paid.
Now, clearly, you were able to put the house in sufficient conditions so that in August, with only 1 month downtime, you have a new tenant. Show me the other pictures of the other damage that you're alleging. So far, you have $1,000 in security deposit that you retained.
Flush, and the toilet seat was broken, so I had to call a plumber out.
Okay. I would like to see the bill from the plumber. $273.12.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now we're up to $633. What's next?
The house was left very, very dirty.
Now I will see a bill from a cleaning service to clean the apartment.
For the cleaning company to come in and clean the house.
Great. Window cleaning, she's not responsible for. So that's $400 that you paid to clean.
Yes, ma'am.
$1033. What else?
When she moved out, she
What else?
She didn't return all of the keys. I had to have the locks changed.
That's your business. What's next?
There was also one window that was broken and one that was missing completely, so I had to have those 2 windows replaced.
Picture, please. Do you know anything about a broken window?
I had replaced a broken window, yes, but the other window, no. And the window that she's talking about that's cracked or missing or whatever was from the gardeners, so I was not going to pay for the window that they broke. That was not on me.
Miss Barreco never let me know there was a broken window.
Do you know how the gardeners broke that window?
Maybe a rock hit it, I don't know, but I know for a fact that it wasn't me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Did you replace a window?
I replaced a window, yes.
Tell me when you replaced a window and how did it come about that you needed to replace a window?
The window in the living room. My dog, there was somebody walking and he was barking and he pushed the window and it fell out and broke. The gardener.
This was in one of the bedrooms. And as you can see, there's no window there.
Okay, very good. Would you remove the phone, please, and let me see the bill?
That's the glass shop bill.
$110. That's the glass.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so far, she owes you $143. You kept $1,000 of her security deposit. The overage of what you showed me is $143.
Additionally, she
Nowhere near
threw out
4,000.
all of the curtains in the house. She admits to throwing them out.
Miss Estrada?
Yes, ma'am.
$143. Consider yourself lucky. We're finished. This case is over. Goodbye.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, the reasons to evict were growing.
He brought in his daughter, and then he brought in his second daughter, and then he brought in his third daughter.
You had 60 days to leave. Why didn't you?
Judge Judy.
Miss Barreco destroyed my grandfather's house.
I am glad with the decision because I don't believe I should have paid anything.
It just broke my heart that she would be so disrespectful to me.
The house was not in perfect condition before I moved in.
The reasons to evict were growing.
He brought in his daughter, and then he brought in his second daughter, and then he brought in his third daughter.
You had 60 days to leave. Why didn't you?
Then
the defendant moved into the house.
The landlord forced the issue.
You look like a very mild-mannered guy. I have a feeling that I'm looking at somebody who is in camouflage.
This is Judge Judy. Ronald Mendez is suing his former landlord, John Griga, for an illegal eviction, harassment, and stolen property.
Judge, this is case number 75 on the calendar in the matter of Mendez versus Griga. Parties have been sworn in. You ladies may be seated, and happy birthday.
Thank you. Mr. Mendez, how long did you live in the house that is currently occupied by Mr. Griga?
About 9 years.
Who did you lease the house from? What was that person's name?
Gerald.
And you had a lease with him?
So we were month to month, and it was a gentleman's...
Just 1 second. In the beginning, when you rented from him, was it a year lease that turned into month to month, or was it always month to month?
It was always month to month.
What was your rent?
Originally, it was $500.
When did it change?
When my daughter started turning 18 and they didn't want to live with their mother no more, I had talked to Jerry. We call him Jerry. And I said, I'll pay you $800.
Was anybody else living in the house other than you and your daughter? Did you have the whole house or just a room in the house?
When I arrived, he had riffraff living there, doing drugs and alcohol and fighting. When I came in there, I helped Jerry get rid of them. And
I asked you a question. My question is a simple one.
Yes, there was other people there.
So you rented a room in the house?
Yes.
And your daughter lived with you, shared the room with you in the house?
Yeah, in the beginning, I got a bunk bed.
Now, the crux of your lawsuit is an illegal eviction. And it is your claim that in the recent past, somewhere in this last year, the defendant became the owner of the house and gave you an eviction notice or a notice that he wanted you to move. That didn't happen. According to you, there were locks put on the door and locks changed. Ultimately, the defendant, according to him, moved into the house. At that point, according to you, you had had enough of what you call harassment, and you decided to leave in May of this year. That's your lawsuit.
Correct.
The defendant says you owe him rent. Not rent from years ago, because I assume, Mr. Griga, that the plaintiff, over the 9 years that he lived there, was current in his rent, or else he would have been evicted.
Excuse me, he've only lived there for 5 years.
How many?
He moved in May of 2015, and I have a copy of his application, which I provided to him.
Did you manage the property? Is that what you did?
Yes, from the day that he moved in.
Okay. Let's go back, Mr. Mendez. Did you move in 2015?
No, I was there longer than that.
Or 2011?
2011.
Well, when did you start working for the original owner, Mr. Griga?
Probably around 2014.
Okay. Well, Mr. Griga, the plaintiff is going to be able to establish by a variety of methods that he lived in his room before 2015. Now, it may have been that you, as the manager of the property, when you got there, gave him an application to rent a room. He says he lived there since 2011. And how would you know that he didn't live there in 2011 when you just started this job in 2014?
It might have been 2012 or 2013, but I know that there were previous renters there.
Mr. Griga, let's start off on the right foot, you and I, because this is my first case of the day. It also happens to be my birthday, and I don't want to put myself in a foul mood at the beginning of my day. When I asked you, is that correct? And you said, no, he didn't move. That was deceptive. Do you understand? That was deceptive because you had a piece of paper and someone who may not be as sharp as I am may have said, oh, there's a piece of paper, 2015. He must be telling me a fib. Then you come back and say, well, maybe it was 2012. Maybe it was also 2011.
Your Honor, it might have been 2011, but at that time, he might have moved in and might have moved out. But I know that I found him in 2015 because I placed an ad and he answered it. And we showed him the room and he filled out an application and the owner of the property signed it and dated it. And we started a month-to-month rental agreement.
Did you move in and out of this room, Mr. Mendez, over the course of 2011 to 2020?
I have been there consistently.
That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
You've been there consistently?
Yes. No in and out.
Had you ever lived between 2011 and 2020? Did you live anywhere else?
No.
Okay. Now I'm going to come back to you, Mr. Griga. I want you to tell me in what month and year you decided that you wanted the plaintiff out of the house and you wanted his room, you wanted to end the tenancy? You tell me.
The beginning of 2019.
And tell me why in the beginning of 2000.
Because originally, if you look at the rental agreement, it shows that the rental agreement is only for Ron, which he also signed and dated, and Gerald signed and dated.
Keep going.
He brought in his daughter, and then he brought in his second daughter, and then maybe the middle of 2019, he brought in his third daughter, and he shared 2 rooms at the house.
They had 2 rooms.
Yes.
Okay, when did he take the second room?
I think the second room started around 2018.
How much was the rent on the second room?
Well, both rooms were $800 a month. And I put together a rental agreement.
Okay.
His wife was going to also join him. But when I gave him the rental agreement, he refused to sign it. So we just continued on to a month-to-month.
Now, you gave him this rental agreement. Was Jerry still in the house?
Yes, he was. He was still the owner, but at that time I was essentially the property manager.
Okay. When did you become the owner of the house?
April of 2019.
And at what point did you give the plaintiff the first 30-day notice to quit?
Actually, it's a 60-day notice to quit.
You gave him a 60-day notice. What month?
November 11th of 2019.
Now, Mr. Mendez, you acknowledge that you got a 60-day notice pursuant to your agreement on November 11th, 2019. You acknowledge that you received that?
There was a paper.
To give you
correct.
notice. You acknowledge you received it?
That I did, yes.
Well, then you had 60 days to leave. Why
According
didn't
to that,
you?
according to that, yes.
No. According to the law, you had 60 days to leave.
So he apparently is a mortgage broker, which means he should know the law. So, number one, when there's any kind of transaction that's being sold, he has to tell the neighbors, he's got to tell everybody. Jerry didn't even know.
Listen to me, Mr. Mendez. You cannot tell me what Jerry knew or what he didn't know. As far as I'm concerned, if he is the legal owner of the house now, Jerry knew.
Okay.
All I'm asking you is, you knew he was the owner. You got a notice to leave pursuant to your lease agreement, which is now a month-to-month, on November 11th. My question is simple. Why didn't you start to make arrangements to move?
Again, Jerry didn't even know that he had become the owner.
You just.
I got an affidavit from him.
You can't tell me that.
But still, nobody knew
Okay,
that he
so-
has become the owner. Nobody knew.
Okay. Well, now you know, right?
Right.
Mr. Mendez, I'm sort of sympathetic with you. I was very sympathetic when I read your papers. Initially, I'm getting a little less sympathetic because he didn't move to evict you during COVID. He didn't. He told you well before anybody knew that 2019 that he wanted you out of the house.
Okay, so...
He wanted you to leave. Now, I want to know why you didn't move.
Because Jerry told me, no, it's still his house. And he had never told me he bought the house.
Okay. Now, on what date did the defendant show you proof, if ever, that it was, in fact, his house?
He never did.
Just a second. Tell me the circumstances around which you became the owner of this house.
The owner was having financial difficulties, and he asked me, he was in foreclosure. Anyway, he asked me if I would buy the place.
So is what you're telling me, you bought the house before it went into foreclosure?
Yes.
Okay. In what month and year?
April 30th of 2019.
And how much did you pay for it?
I paid off the balance from his existing loan and took over his existing loan, so about $400,000. I don't know the exact number.
And who was the mortgage holder? What financial institution?
It was a bank. I forgot the name right now.
And what was the exact amount of the mortgage that they held on this property?
I would say about $350,000 was the loan, and there's probably about another $40,000 in back payments.
So he was in arrears? Is that what you're telling me? He was in arrears for the house?
I paid $29,030 for the back amount and took over
$29,030. And you took over the existing mortgage.
That was about
which was how much?
$355,000.
When you made this transfer with the bank, did Jerry sign the papers? Or was your arrangement, Mr. Grieger, with the bank? Did you take over title to the house from the bank?
I got a new loan.
That's not my question. My question is, did you buy the house from the bank?
No, I bought it from Jerry.
Jerry, was he at the closing? Was there a closing? Because he didn't get any money.
No, you normally you sign all the documents, you get documents notarized, and then you do the recording of the deed.
What's the address of the house?
29 WACO
Where is that located?
in Simi Valley.
How much money did you pay to Jerry?
I didn't pay anything to Jerry. Jerry says if I can make the payments current and if he can live in the house, he would transfer the house to me.
Well, Mr. Grieger, you got yourself a very, very good deal.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That would be better than giving it to you. He doesn't have to go to other friends to do that. See, Mr. Mendez, at the beginning of this process, I wasn't so happy with you. I'm getting a little happier.
Ronald Mendez says his former landlord, John Griga, illegally evicted him and his family. John is countersuing for unpaid rent and harassment.
Well, Mr. Grieger, you got yourself a very, very good deal.
The house needed a lot of work.
Trusty, just a second. According to my trusty little iPad and Zillow, you got a very good deal. You paid $320,000 for the house. The estimate or zestimate for this house, the high range is $700,000 or more than twice what you paid for it a year ago. So you got yourself a pretty good deal without paying Jerry a penny.
When I had the...
Didn't you suggest him that maybe he should put the house on the open market and see before it got foreclosed? Maybe he could wind up with a couple of bucks. He had been paying the mortgage for at least 9 years. How do you know, Jerry?
I've helped them on getting loan modification for his house about 5 years prior.
The average selling price for the houses nearby or the comps are double of what you bought the house for.
Your Honor, when
That's
the bank
a pretty
did
good
the
deal.
appraisal, they appraised it for $530,000, and that's with having the pool redone and the roof redone. A lot of work to be done.
All I'm telling you is, even if they appraise it at $530,000, you still got a pretty good deal. That's still almost twice what you paid for it.
Well, in a couple of weeks later, he was going to lose the house, and he offered it to me. And he went to everybody else, and he had no other...
You know, somebody who's in that business, sir, like you, because you said, that's my business. I helped them get a mortgage. I helped them do this. You know, you look like a very mild-mannered guy. I have a feeling that I'm looking at somebody who is in camouflage.
Your Honor, I don't do mortgages.
Did you suggest to him that the houses in the neighborhood were selling for far more than what his existing mortgage is, and perhaps he could, even if he wound up with $50,000 in his pocket, that would be better than giving it to you for just bringing the mortgage up to date. He doesn't have to go to other friends to do that. He's got friends like you. He doesn't need any other enemies. Okay. I want you to tell me, Mr. Mendez, you see, at the beginning of this process, I wasn't so happy with you. I'm getting a little happier, just a little.
Use in a moment.
Considering the fact that you got a house for practically nothing was some sort of shady. I'm just new to your circumstance, and a quick observation on my trusty little iPad suggests to me you're the luckiest guy around.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ronald Mendez is accusing his former landlord, John Griga, of illegally evicting him and his family.
You finally moved out in May. Where did you go?
I moved pretty much a mile away. A mile away. I had to put down almost $8,000.
Just a second. You moved a mile away into a house with your wife and 3 children?
Correct.
And did you rent it or buy it?
No, I don't have that kind of money. I had to rent it.
I'm just asking you.
Okay.
Rent. And what's the rent that you pay?
Almost $3,000.
For how many rooms?
Has 3 rooms.
The house has 3 rooms, or the house has more rooms and you have 3 rooms?
No, just 3 rooms.
What does that mean?
It just has 3 rooms. In a living room and a kitchen, of course, yeah.
Is what you're telling me, Mr. Mendez, try not to be obtuse with me, is what you're telling me you rented a 3-bedroom, single-family house?
Yes.
Good. For $3,000?
Correct.
A month?
Correct.
That sounds reasonable. That's where you should live, what kind of work do you do?
Retail.
What does that mean, retail?
Right now I work for Hobby Lobby, which is a hobby store.
Okay. And your wife, does she work?
She does rehab for women addicted to drugs and alcohol.
And what about your daughters? Do they work?
Michaela is a special education teacher. Rilyn is in school right now for cosmetology, and my youngest one is studying to be a vet.
Okay, so you have 3 people who were there who contribute to running the household.
Yes, and they pay the rent.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Well, and everybody contributes to paying the rent, as it should be.
Correct.
And you signed a lease in this house?
Yes,
When did you sign the lease?
May 1st.
Did you give them a deposit?
Yeah, I had to put down around almost $3,000.
In April of 2020, did you pay rent in the rooms where you were living?
No, Jerry said he wouldn't.
No.
Okay.
No. Don't tell me what Jerry said.
No.
Just answer my question. Did you pay rent in April of 2020?
I could not.
You could not?
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't take it?
Yes.
Don't tell me what Jerry said.
No.
Jerry's not here. I don't care what you say he said.
What the thing is that Jerry was his voice because he would not talk to me. So Jerry said, John said,
Understand what I said to you?
don't put Jerry in the middle, but he was the
Tell me
middle.
what Jerry said.
Correct.
That's not my problem. Then you should have had him here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Did you pay rent in April is my question.
No.
The answer is no.
No.
Did you pay rent in March?
No.
Did you pay rent in February?
No.
Did you pay rent in January?
No.
Did you pay rent in December?
Yes.
So not having paid rent, and the rent was $800 a month, you had the $2,400 a month that you needed for the security deposit and to move in to the other house.
Correct.
Good. And now you want another $5,000.
Okay, so there's an actual breakdown.
No.
Yes, I do. It was actually 9,000 something. Yes. Because I hate to say, but the agreements that I made was with Jerry. Everything was Jerry. He was never in the picture. He was never in the picture. Jerry said, take the money and apply it to the...
Your case is dismissed. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim, which is likewise dismissed, sir. I think that considering the fact that you got a house for practically nothing was some sort of shady. I don't know what condition this Jerry is. I don't know what condition. I don't know if he has family. I don't know any of those things. But I'm just new to your circumstance. And a quick observation on my trusty little iPad suggests to me you're the luckiest guy around. You bought a house for $320,000. The estimate is $699,000, or more than twice what you paid for it a year ago. And the guy, Jerry, is evidently still living there. Is he still living there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're done here. I have a counterclaim that I've dismissed, and I hope you're happy in your 3-bedroom house with your wife and 3 children, which is where you should be, not 2 rooms in a house. We're done. Thank you. Goodbye.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, does she want her money?
Everything started going downhill once she found out I had a girlfriend.
Or revenge?
I think you're pulling my leg. I think that this is a judicial leg pulling.
Next Judge Judy.
This man is shrewd, very shrewd, and...
I really wasn't the official property manager.
He was a peeping Tom with my kids.
That's totally not...
A broker. He should know he can't just walk into people's houses.
I've never seen any of the daughters.
Well, first of all, he stole the house from them. And I think that was a quick claim deed.
No, it wasn't a quick claim deed.
Because Jerry told me that he was going to get him a better rate in the mortgage.
I talked to Jerry about that.
It's easy to slip a quick claim deed, and Jerry's too old, so he just signs everything.
We agreed that that's what he wanted to do.
Oh, I think he does it all the time.
I'm glad that the plaintiffs are gone.
You didn't see that the window was open.
A renter's unlucky run-in?
I just completely walked into the window with trash in my hand and fell back.
And you think that that's Mr. McIntyre's fault.
I'm not a clumsy guy.
Now the cleaning lady comes clean.
He jumped the fence because he was intoxicated.
You saw him fall.
I did, and he called his mom right away. And then she told him to sue them. That I heard.
This is Judge Judy. Maurice Barnes is suing bed and breakfast owner Edward McIntyre for lost wages, and pain and suffering resulting from an accident that occurred on his premises.
Judge, this is case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Barn. May be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. McIntyre, how long have you run a bed and breakfast?
2 years, ma'am, Your Honor.
Did you own the house before you started to run the bed and breakfast, or did you buy it as a bed and breakfast?
We bought it as a bed and breakfast. It was that way for 35 years.
So you bought it as a running business?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay. This is what your case is about. Mr. Barnes, you were a guest in the McIntyre's bed and breakfast, and at some point during your stay, you were injured. You claim you were injured as a result of their negligence. You want them to be responsible for that. Mr. McIntyre and his wife say you are responsible for your own injury, not exactly sure why. It's possible that you were drunk at the time. And they have a counterclaim. A counterclaim is that you defamed them in your review of their property, and as a result of that defamation, they lost business. That's your counterclaim. So, Mr. Barnes, why don't you tell me what you were doing renting a bed and breakfast facility?
So I was renting a hotel before I had the bed and breakfast because originally I had a house fire, and that's how this all started, where I was renting a hotel during COVID time. So I figured the bed and breakfast would be
Now,
a
look
safe...
at me. Look at me. When did you have a house fire?
This was October 26, 2000.
That house.
I own the house. I live
Where
in the
is it
house
located?
now. It's in La Costa, Carlsbad, California.
Is what I'm understanding that you were renting other accommodations while your house was being fixed?
Yes.
As a result of the fire?
Yes.
From there, did you move into the bed and breakfast?
Yes.
And did you have a month's obligation?
We were going week to week.
And how much a week?
Okay, it was $70 a night, and then I had to pay for breakfast. It would come out to roughly $490 a week.
What date did you move out?
It was around June.
June, not around.
June 2nd.
On what date did you have your accident at the house?
May 25th.
On what day did either you tell the defendant or the defendant tell you that you were not remaining?
I called on June 1st. At 4:05, I asked Ed if I could stay another week because my ribs were hurting, and I asked him to stay another week.
Just a second.
Yes?
Just a second. Did he call you on June 1st?
No, Your Honor.
So you received no call from him on June 1st?
No, he was to check out on the 29th, and he didn't check out until June the 2nd, Your Honor. He was asking to extend his stay, and I said no. There was too many complaints. I'd lost too much revenue. There was too much damage. The staff was upset.
So you said he cannot extend his stay. Does that sound right to you, sir?
Yes.
So, Mr. Barnes, I want you to listen to me. I'm in business. My business is renting rooms in my house. I have a tenant who's no problem, pays their rent on time, doesn't cause any issues, and wants to stay. And I'm going to lose revenue for at least a week before I have another paying customer. So I say to myself, what could it be that a businessman, because he's a businessman, why would he not accept a request for a paying tenant to stay in their room?
Maybe because I was hurt on his property. I would think that maybe that's the reason, because you're asking a very good question, Judge Judy.
Mr. Barnes,
you're asking a very good question.
Mr. Barnes, they don't keep me here because I don't ask good questions. They keep me here because I ask good questions. Here's my next question to you. After the accident happened on May 25th, did you contact a lawyer?
I did. I will say it's a family friend. My mom. It's from our synagogue.
I don't give a rat's behind whether he lives in your house or he's your mother's boyfriend or he's from the same synagogue. You contacted a lawyer.
Yes.
And you discussed with a lawyer with a view towards having this lawyer represent you in this lawsuit.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Did the lawyer take the case?
No.
Okay. Good. Now, I want you to tell me about May 25th.
That's the night when I fell. This is I have a picture of where I was walking.
Would you look up at me?
Sorry. I have all these papers down here. I'm very sorry, Judge Judy.
Tell me the time of the incident.
It's 7:30 p.m.
And you live in California.
I live in California.
And 7:30 p.m. in May, it's sort of getting to be dusk.
Yes.
Right. And had you done any deliveries that day?
Yes.
And then you're going to tell me for whom and what time?
That day I was doing DoorDash, so it was just around La Jolla.
What time?
Maybe 2:30 p.m. till around 5 p.m.
Okay, so you got home at 5 p.m. And what did you do?
This is the night I watched TV. I had the TV on.
Could you look at me?
Yes.
Don't look down.
Sorry. And...
No, that day.
Yeah, that day. And then I'm cleaning. And I'm taking the trash out. That was the whole 2 hours of me being there.
So you came home.
What else was I really doing?
You came home, you had dinner.
Yeah.
And watched a little TV, and then you were taking out the trash.
Yes.
And that was at 7:30. So tell me.
Okay, so it's dark. This is exactly what happened. I'm walking out. There's 3 steps to get downstairs. I'm walking downstairs. You make a right. As soon as you make a right, there's a window. And that's where I walked. I didn't see the window. The window's open. I walked into the window and hit the window, just completely walked into the window with trash in my hand and fell back. And that's when I hit my back. And it's my rib that was injured, apparently. I immediately knew something was wrong. Like, I knew something was like, I'm like sitting there, like on my back, like, you know. And at first I didn't really know what it was, like, honestly. I just knew that my whole side was hurting. So.
Your ribs hurt.
Yeah.
And the window that was open, had that been a newly installed window?
I don't know.
And from April 29th until May 25th, how often did you empty your trash?
Every day I would do it. So, I mean...
And when you emptied your trash every day, did you take the same route?
Yes. I would wade my way through plants.
Just a second.
Yep.
Just a second. Now, I assume that you took out your trash at the end of your day after you had dinner. You didn't want to leave your food or whatever because you said you had dinner. That's what you usually do. You come home, you have dinner, right? And then you take out the trash.
Yes.
26 or 27 days, you took the same path to do the same trash run, and they didn't put in a new window.
No.
So this time, you didn't see that the window was open. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you think that that's Mr. McIntyre's fault?
Well, the fault is just by looking at this picture. And then I want you to tell me if you can get through it. And if you can,
Just a second.
then
I
you're
don't
right.
have to tell you what I thought. I'll tell you what I think in about 4 minutes.
Absolutely.
But right now you can show me the picture.
Okay.
Right now you can show me the picture.
I've been dying to use this thing.
Yeah, I got it.
I also have a text that was...
Now,
yeah.
I got it. Same path that you used every day, and you walked into a window. Now, I actually see that there are several open windows.
Yeah,
there's the one
open
that's
windows
closest,
there's
and then there's
plants here,
another.
big
Sir,
potted plants.
Sir, did the plants, were they given some sort of a super-duper miracle grow that they grew overnight from May 24th to May 25th when you emptied the garbage?
No.
I mean, did they become Godzilla plants overnight?
No.
It was the same route that you took for 27 days to empty your trash.
Yeah.
This time a window was open. Now, my question to you is, does the defendant control that window, or was that another resident's window?
It's another first time that I've hit the window. So just saying.
Oh, so you knew about, just a
I've
second.
known about these
so you knew
windows,
that the
yeah.
window was sometimes open.
Yeah,
Just a
yes.
second.
I see
and
the
at
windows,
7:30 at night, you're careful. You be careful.
Right.
Why is that the defendant's fault?
There's zero light.
I mean, I know the lawyer tried to explain.
Well, there's no light. If you just, I wish somebody was there. I mean, I'm not a clumsy guy. There's no light in this like little alleyway. You have this tiny little way to walk through. I mean, if you could just you could see it. You could see where the plant is, and that's my designated area. For what I don't. Yeah.
All right, now we're going to talk about your counterclaim. Go.
Sure, Your Honor. I hired him.
What are you complaining about?
I hired him for $1,700 a month. He was supposed to do social media and build us up, and he said he was going to have it rain guests, and he was going to fill the place up. And when he left, he wrote a scathing review calling me unethical, immoral. He said it was the worst place he'd ever stayed in his life, that he'd give me a 0 if he could, but the lowest he could give me was a 1. Then he had his sister write a letter. It was another scathing review. She didn't even stay there. He had his father write me a scathing review. Didn't even stay there. I had to sell the place because we were losing money regularly, and I took a $500,000 loss, Your Honor, on that property. Not that it was all his fault. His COVID contributed to it, but he certainly was going to bring in clients. But in actuality, he defamed me, Your Honor.
Mr. McIntyre, Mr. Barnes is entitled to write a negative review about you. If, however, his relatives who never stayed with you wrote a negative review about you, I think you should sue them because that they can't do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He defecated in the alleyway, and I explained to him that the alleyway was only for service.
Mr. McIntyre, who saw him defecate in a public area?
My star witness, Your Honor.
I'd like to hear from that witness.
Maurice Barnes says he was staying at Edward McIntyre's bed and breakfast when he hit his head walking into an open window. Edward is countersuing for destruction of property, defamation, and loss of revenue.
If, however, his relatives who never stayed with you wrote a negative review about you, I think you should sue them because that they can't do. You see, he's entitled to do it, but his sister can't, his father can't, his mother can't, his brother can't, because the only way that they would know about that is from his reputation. And if they suggested in their review that they had been a resident of your place, then you have a perfectly good cause of action against them, not him, because he stayed there. To him, it wasn't a pleasant stay. That's what happens when you advertise on the internet. You're allowed to do that and write a review. Now, damage is another thing. Do you have photographs of the damage?
I have my star witness.
No, I want to see photographs.
Your Honor, we have photographs of the review.
I don't want to see photographs of the review. I want to see photographs of the damage that he is alleging. He's alleging damage. I've taken care of his defamation.
Here's one. Here's the bathroom. You can see it's totally black.
Okay.
Here's one of the sheets and towels that were destroyed and uncleanable. There's more sheets and towels that were destroyed, and the toilet. And this, Your Honor, this is his actual feces that he left in the laundry room and all over towels, as well as he defecated in the alleyway. And I explained to him that the alleyway was only for service. He was not to use it because it exposed people's bathrooms and bedrooms, and his windows were the ones that were open, not anyone else's.
Mr. McIntyre, who saw him defecate in a public area?
My star witness, Your Honor.
I'd like to hear from that witness. Tell me your name, please.
My name is Susan Martinez.
Ms. Martinez, how do you know the defendant?
He actually stood there at the bed and breakfast in La Jolla.
You stay there?
I was staying there when we started getting complaints of him, yes.
Did you have a room on the first floor, second floor?
Well, Your Honor, she was the maid at the hotel.
I either stood...
Did you stay there?
I started staying there, yes.
Did you also do housekeeping for
I sure did, yes. We had a number of complaints, so I was told to stay, and I stood there.
No, listen. Yes. Listen to me. Don't tell me about complaints. Okay. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He called his mom right away on speaker, told her what happened when he jumped the fence because he was intoxicated, and then she told him to sue them.
Mrs. Barnes, son ever drink? Does your son ever drink? Is my question. Does your son ever drink?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Maurice Barnes claims he was injured while staying as a guest at Edward McIntyre's bed and breakfast.
Could you tell me what, if anything, you observed about Mr. Barnes with regard to any of the photographs that I've seen?
There was different occasions of stuff. I guess with his dog.
You can't tell me what one of the maids told you.
So anyways...
Only what you saw.
Okay, well, I seen him coming out of the laundry room, and he had a towel, and before he walked up the stairs to his room, he had brown stuff all over his... I didn't see him in there, but he came out of the laundry room, yes.
Your Honor, what?
What else did you observe about
his behavior?
Mr. Barnes?
His behavior and his constantly being intoxicated. A number of times asking him to lower his music because we had guests that would leave. Your Honor, what I do want to say is the day that he fell, I was in the John Sousa room, and he called his mom right away on speaker, told her what happened when he jumped the fence because he was intoxicated, and then she told him to sue them. That I heard. In front of God Almighty, I heard that.
Did you see him jump the fence?
I did. I was in the John Sousa room. He was jumping.
Go ahead.
He would go to the park across the street with his dog every day, and that's where he was every day.
Just a second.
Yes.
What I'm asking you is, Miss Martinez,
Those are lies.
Did you see him on the 25th of May injure himself?
He was jumping the wall gate, is what he was doing.
And did you see him fall?
I did.
You saw him fall?
I did, and he called his mom right away.
You did not.
Why don't you have a seat?
Okay.
Mrs. Barnes, would you stand up for a moment, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're his mom?
Yes, I am. Very proud of him, too.
Does the son ever drink? Does your son ever drink? Is my
drinks.
question. Does your son ever drink? How far away do you live from him? How far away do you live from him? Who lives with you?
I live with my daughter and take care of my granddaughters.
When your son had a fire and he wasn't working anymore, was there no room for him in his sister's house?
No, not really.
What do you mean, not really? It's an emergency. It's COVID.
So
his house caught on fire.
I guess my daughter was concerned because of my granddaughters. She didn't want, because he does deliveries sometimes. She was afraid. She's a physician too, so she was afraid that he could bring COVID to the house with the granddaughters and the family.
Right. Why don't you have a seat?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Do you have estimates, sir, on the sheets and towels that he destroyed?
No, I got those from Target. $150 for 4 sets of sheets each.
From you, sir. Okay. And you rented the room about 6 days later. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Barnes, the lawyer who you spoke to from the synagogue told you had no case, even though the defendant has insurance, which is a very easy thing. Could have sued his homeowner's insurance.
Who said I did?
I'm speaking now. I'm speaking. You have no case. You got hurt because of your own negligence. I don't know whether you were drunk or not, and I don't care. If you were drunk, you were doubly negligent. If you weren't drunk, you walked into a window. It wasn't a window that he flung open. It was a place that you had walked 28 days before every single day. And according to you, the window was also open on some of those days. That was your path. If you walk into a wall, it's not the wall's fault. It's your fault. You walked into something. You had an accident. It's your fault. Your case is dismissed. I suggest you sue whoever it was, not him who defamed you. Do you understand?
Your Honor, he's the one who defamed me by calling me unethical, immoral, but he also put his sister and his father up to this.
Well, I don't know whether he did or not, sir, but right now I'm telling you, if you want to sue his sister and his brother, sue them. I'd be more than happy to hear the case. Do you understand?
Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
He called me a prostitute. His other daughter started calling me names.
I didn't call her no prostitute. I used other words.
I wouldn't smile if I were you.
Next Judge Judy.
Every single one of those allegations were like crazy.
I think he definitely defamed my character and definitely put a hurt on the end.
I don't like hospitals, but I went the next day because
he exposed himself to the maids. He was quite indecent. He never wore a face mask.
You know, ribs, man. I finally knew what rib injury was. That was a rib injury. So
because we needed the money to pay the mortgage, we were pulling money out every month to pay the mortgage.
I don't know. I wish they would have given me something to clean the place with. I was there for a month. Nobody's cleaning the place.
I figured it was close to the end, and I would talk to him, and he would say that he would behave, but he never did.
Time to move on. God bless,
I'm so glad not to have any more to do with him. He's been the worst guest that I've had in 30 years.
Who signed the contract?
Divorce kills a catered party.
You are not a signatory to the contract.
I did sign that contract.
Now this ex craves a refund.
It was only signed by your husband.
I don't have the complete contract.
Because it wasn't your contract.
There's a little bit of a story here.
I know you want to make it a story. This is a contract.
This is Judge Judy. Toby Petrocelli is suing caterer Nancy Varetti for the return of catering fees for a party that never happened.
Judge's case number 106 on the calendar in the matter of Petrocelli versus Veretti. Both parties have been sworn in.
Thank you, Bird. Ms. Petrocelli, I've read your complaint, and so this is a case involving a written contract.
Correct.
And the contract was for the defendant to cater an event that you were planning. You contacted her, according to your complaint, sometime in July of 2019, and your event was to take place in December.
Correct.
You didn't state what kind of an event this was in your complaint. Is there a reason for that?
It was a celebration for birthdays, retirement, and anniversary. It was a combination of events.
Okay. For the same people?
Correct.
Was it to take place at a hall or at your home?
It was to take place at a hall.
And
at the time, my husband had procured her information.
You got the information from your husband?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And who signed the contract with her to book the date?
We both did. My ex-husband
You
and
and
I
your
both
husband.
did. Correct.
On what date did you sign the contract?
We signed the contract on July 10th.
And the event was supposed to take place, according to what I've read, on December the 6th.
Correct.
And according to what I've read, you gave her an initial deposit on signing of the contract of $1,500.
That is correct.
With payments to be made periodically. Just a second, I'll get to you in a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
With payments to be made periodically until December 6th.
Correct.
On what date and in what amount was the next payment due?
So there's a little bit of a story here.
No, there's no story. This is a contract.
So,
I know you want to make it a story. This is a contract.
Okay.
You signed the contract on July 10th.
Correct.
2020. You gave her a $1,500 deposit. Is that not the date the contract was signed?
July 18th.
July 18th.
And it's signed
Just a
by
second.
Mr.
Put both-
Petrocelli.
Put up your copy of the contract. Put up your
Mine?
copy of the contract. Yes, and it says that your former husband signed it on July 18th, and I'd like to see the copy that you have.
Okay.
Because you say we both signed it.
I apologize. I think I only have the one that he signed. I don't have the one that has my signature on that. I will look for that.
Well, you have to have that, and it was signed on the 18th.
We made the deposit to her on the 10th.
Listen to me. The date of the contract is the 18th, and it was only signed by your husband.
Okay.
Now, we'll nuance this in a second, but my next question would be, if your name was on that contract, on what date was the next payment due? Because that's how these events work. You make an initial deposit, and then you make periodic payments in order to secure the date. Now, on what date, pursuant to this contract that only your husband signed, on what date was the next payment due?
The next payment was made on...
No, I didn't ask you. No. Listen to me carefully.
I'm listening.
On what date was the payment due?
The payment?
Just tell me what date, pursuant to the contract, was the payment due?
I don't have the complete contract. Therefore, I do not know that exact date.
Well, then that's part of your problem because it wasn't your contract.
This is an estimate invoice and supports the contract, and it's something
No,
that
listen to me.
Right here.
I asked you a very simple question. I said, on what date was the next payment due?
August 6th.
Contractually, on or before August 6th, the person who signed that contract had to give you what amount of money on August 6th?
$3,500.
And when was the next payment due?
On November 6th.
And in what amount was that payment?
$3,500.
Now we're going to get to your story. So you made a $1,500. Let's say you were the person who did this contract. Then we'll get to the divorce later and whether or not this was the subject of the divorce proceeding. We'll see. I assume you have that information. On August 6th, you were to make a $3,500 additional deposit. Now, you understand that these additional deposits also, in that contract, it says the date that you're allowed to cancel. How many days prior to the event and what were the penalties for cancellation pursuant to the contract, Ms. Faharty?
It states no refunds. They canceled December 19th, which is approximately 45 days.
I asked you a simple question. I don't want you to volunteer anything.
Okay.
It was a simple question, and then you'll put it up with a line. On what date did the contract provide they could cancel without forfeiting the money that had been paid so far? On what date? Was it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?
90 days.
In the contract.
In the contract.
Let me see.
Okay. So
90 days.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Okay. Contract, no refunds will be given all days prior to event's original date.
Okay. And that's the contract. That's the refund policy.
Mm-hmm.
On what date did you cancel?
I canceled on Friday, October 16th, when we came back from being out of the country.
Okay. Well, that's less than 90 days. However, you made a combined deposit. You sent $8,000, according to you, or your husband sent $8,000.
I did.
Only $3,500 is forfeited because that was paid on August 6th. The other payment wasn't due until November 6th. Canceled in October. The other payment really wasn't due that she sent you. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, you're reading correctly. However, there was a change in the terms of the contract based on a request for a discount on the event.
No, show me that in writing. Show me
that.
that in writing.
Right here.
Show me that in writing.
I'd say, hi, Toby. Refigure costs for pay in full discount for review. I figured costs to reflect what the savings would be for a pay in full discount. I showed the discount above the sales tax line, reducing the sales tax of savings too. No credit card fees for check or cash. Did review foods for discount and amounts. Take a look. I'm available to review by phone or stop by today or tomorrow. On the new estimate dated 8/5 before
show me where she agreed to those terms.
When she paid the check, because here's the new estimate here. Estimate invoice has to be refigured.
No, I understand. I understand that. Listen to me, Miss Faharty. Yes. She's not getting anything because she has no standing. She is not a signatory to the contract. She has no standing. Do you understand that, Miss Petrocelli?
Yes.
You are not a
contract, so I'm trying. I will locate that for you.
Listen, this is the time that we have all evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And you came to court. You knew you were coming to court. It's been my experience of over 50 years that when there is a contract, and its contract looks like the contract she just showed to me, there are two lines, one for your name and one for your husband's name. Now, did you have an attorney during your divorce proceedings?
Yes, I did.
Did your husband have an attorney?
Yes, he did.
Was this listed as a potential marital asset?
No, it was not.
Well, that's too bad, because if anybody is owed any money, the person who signed the contract may be owed some money. But for two smart people, when you were divorced, you certainly didn't take care of it. You have no claim to this money, Miss Petrocelli, or any part of it.
The contract is written out in both of our names.
It may be, but you didn't sign it.
Okay.
Maybe, but you didn't sign it. And you had dealings with her. Your husband may have benefited from that, but you can't modify a contract with her that only he signed. And if the two of you at some point agreed to a discounted fee, if you would pay all cash, so it wouldn't go through a credit card because they charge points.
Correct.
And you did, in fact, do that, and you canceled before the 90 days, then you're not entitled to any money. Then your husband wouldn't signatory to the contract. Anyway, we're done. Thank you very much. Your case is dismissed.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
One would think that as a business owner, she would do the right thing, but it is what it is.
As a small business person, it's been very, very important to stick to our policies and our rules.
When I contacted her initially, she was very upset that we were going to have to cancel.
They're wonderful people. This was a joyous occasion, and we were all just devastated.
Said she'd get the money to me and then just kept stalling. So this is why we ended up here.
Boy, if she wants a party, she's still got one with me.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Bennett versus Robinson. Step forward.
Giselle Bennett is suing her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, for crashing his car into a retaining wall on her property.
Miss Bennett, you're sleeping.
Yes.
It's August 18th.
Yes.
2012.
Yes.
And you hear a commotion.
Yes.
Wakes you up.
Yeah.
Turns out this commotion is a result of the defendant's car wrapping itself around your garden and the wall of your garden.
Right.
And you want the defendant to pay for the damage.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Oh, Mr. Let me just refresh your recollection as to what you swore to in your answer.
Giselle Bennett claims her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, crashed his car into a retaining wall on her property. Shannon says he has no idea what happened.
So, what kind of car do we have?
96 Chevrolet Caprice.
And on August 18th, where were you and where was your car?
Well, from my knowledge, the last time I remember my car being in my driveway, parked on a...
Just a second. The last you remember your car, Mr. Robinson, it was on your driveway.
Yes.
And that was when?
August 18th, 17th, the day prior to the incident.
So I want to understand this. You had parked your car on your driveway the night before this happened, and that's the last you knew of it.
Yes.
Oh, Mr. Robinson, what am I going to do with you, sir? Let me just refresh your recollection as to what you swore to in your answer. You said, I did park my car in front of plaintiff's home on the evening of August 18th because I was having people over and wanted my guests to... Well, that's a little different from what you just told me. See, what you just told me, which I repeated to you twice, was that your car was in your driveway, where you parked it. You're the registered owner of that car, correct?
Yes, I am.
And in what city and state do you reside?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Now, Georgia is one of those states that require cars to have insurance.
Yes.
Not necessarily collision insurance, but it requires you to have liability insurance in case you do damage to someone else's property or person.
Yes.
So if your car, I don't care who's driving the car, if your car causes damage to the plaintiff's property, because you don't deny that her property was damaged,
Yes.
you deny you're responsible.
Exactly.
So if your car was insured, the insurance would have paid for the damage to her property.
Yes.
But your car was not
Insured.
insured.
Yeah.
And according to you, in either version of the story, either the one you told me or the one you swore to in your answer, you drove the car. Because in the story you told me before, you drove the car and parked it in your driveway. The story that you wrote to me in the answer was you drove the car and parked it in front of her house because you wanted your guest's short car. Why did you do that?
I mean, Your Honor, I know it's silly and basically against the law, but I just moved it because we're neighbors.
I know your neighbors.
We're neighbors. I moved it a couple of feet.
You turned it on, right? You turned it on.
Yes.
Now I want you to think very carefully. Now that we know that one of these versions maybe is true, was the car parked in front of her house or in your driveway?
In front of her house on the street, yes.
And you did that because?
So that I have room for my guests to park and be able to get out when they left my house.
When you parked the car in front of her house, did you leave the keys in the car?
No, ma'am.
Now, the car ended up not in front of her house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He knows he has to pay for it. He wouldn't even argue with me that he doesn't have to pay for it. Isn't that right, Mr. Robinson?
I feel like I don't have to pay for it because I...
Oh, you don't want to go there, Mr. Robinson?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Giselle Bennett claims her neighbor, Shannon Robinson, crashed his car into a retaining wall on her property. Shannon says he has no idea what happened.
Now, can I see pictures of where the car ended up? You can see from there, right?
Yes.
Did you see who got out of the car?
No, ma'am.
Well, that's a lot of damage, Mr. Robinson, that would have been taken care of, sir, if you had insurance. Now you're going to answer my question that I asked you a little while ago. Why didn't you have insurance?
I believe my insurance had got canceled 2 days before or the day of the party.
Why?
Non-payment.
Well, they don't cancel it without putting you on notice, sir. They send you a letter The letter says if you don't pay, you're not going to have insurance.
Yes.
And you just ignore that. Now, do you work, Mr. Robinson?
As of now, I do.
No. Then.
Then.
August, listen to me very carefully. August 18th, 2012, were you working?
No, ma'am.
In whose house were you living?
My mother's.
What were you doing in August of 2012?
Looking for work.
You looking for work?
Applying online, going to job career centers, job fairs.
And how would you get there? Got where I'm going?
Yeah.
You have an estimate to fix this damage. I think I've got Mr. Rob Guy. You know, he didn't murder anybody. He had a party. Somebody got loaded and caused damage. He has to pay for it. He knows he has to pay for it. He wouldn't even argue with me that he doesn't have to pay for it. Isn't that right, Mr. Robinson?
I feel like I don't have to pay for it because I
Oh, you don't want to go there, Mr. Robinson?
Because
You don't want to go there, sir? I just explained to you that if you had a car that had insurance, your insurance company would have paid for it because it would have been your responsibility.
But then that'd be a case of me not having insurance. We're dealing with the car being in her yard.
You think it flew into her yard?
I didn't do it, man.
It flew?
I didn't do it. When I woke up, on my knowledge of...
You don't have to do it. You're responsible for it. It's your car.
So if somebody crashed my car, I'm responsible to pay for that?
Absolutely. That's what you have insurance for.
Yeah, I have a letter from his insurance company that said his policy was canceled on July 22nd.
Well, that's not the day before. That's not a day before. That would be a month before.
I got that letter. I got that letter 2 days before saying that my insurance...
Oh, well, maybe you were too busy to open your mail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsor cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Do you have an estimate or a bill to fix the damage? You did fix it, did you not?
Yes.
Okay.
One of those pictures shows it being fixed. These are the estimates that I got. One was
Well, how much did it cost you to have it fixed?
$350.
That's a bargain. My goodness, Mr. Robinson, you should go over and give her a big hug and a kiss. She got the best possible price for you, $350. Why didn't you give her money for it? You working now?
Yes, I'm working now.
Yeah,
I didn't know anything about a civil suit against me until a week ago.
Well, now you know.
They moved out of the neighborhood.
Now you know.
They moved out of the neighborhood. I had no contact with them. I seen the wall was fixed, but I had no contact with them.
We still live in the neighborhood.
But not in the same house?
Yeah, we still live in the same
Same house.
I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them.
You haven't seen him?
No, ma'am.
Well, you must be busy working.
Yes, ma'am.
$350, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And an old RV needed some TLC.
The body itself has not lasted.
Nobody's body lasts. Not yours, certainly not mine.
Next, Judge Judy.
She heard all the evidence and found that he indeed was responsible for fixing my wall.
I offered to repair the wall. I offered to pay.
I'm just thankful nobody was hurt.
I mean, I feel something was unjust about it.
I did not think anything like this could possibly occur.
After a night with the sitter,
The dog ingested something.
a day under the knife,
Your dog had surgery.
He was horrible. In pain, great pain.
and the evidence isn't bouncing her way.
It's a rubber ball, part of a rubber ball.
Have you ever seen that before?
No.
The dog was in your care.
This is Judge Judy. Lori Gladstone and her husband, Fred Silva, are suing dog daycare owner Shannon Bishop for vet bills as the result of Shannon's negligence.
Judge, this is case number 121 on the calendar in the matter of Gladstone Silva versus Bishop. Parties have been sworn in.
Adorable golden doodle puppy, now probably 10 months old.
Yes.
Last month, you were going away for a couple of days. The defendant has a dog boarding service, and it is your claim that owing to the defendant's negligence, your dog ingested a foreign object while at her facility. Your dog had surgery, was in fact a foreign object that was causing a blockage. Your vet bills were over $7,000, and you want the defendant to be responsible for those. That's what the case is about.
Yes, correct.
The defendant has a counterclaim. The defendant's counterclaim is that you never paid for the boarding services, and in addition to that, that you defamed her on the internet in her business. So, a couple of questions. Have you or have you not used the defendant's services before?
Yes, I have.
For this dog?
Yes.
For any other dog?
No, this is our only dog we ever had.
And you never had a dog
No,
before?
I never had a dog before.
This dog, according to you, also suffers from an irritable bowel syndrome for which it takes medication.
Yes,
Is that
correct.
correct? Prior to October, I think it was 23rd, is that it? October
Yes.
23rd to the 25th?
Yes.
How many times had you boarded your dog, whose name is Bingo, visits?
Yes.
For how many nights?
In June, it was for 5 nights, I believe, and 2 weeks prior to this incident, it was for the exact same time, 2 nights.
And during the period of time in June, there were no incidents. You were perfectly satisfied with her care of your dog.
No, actually, in June, we had traveled out of state. We extended our stay, and our dog actually was on very specific medicine for his IBS. I mean, food. He was on a specific prescribed diet from the vet. And we decided to extend our stay for a couple of days in Mexico, to which I texted Miss Bishop and told her that we didn't pack enough food, we'd be staying, and this was the exact food we needed for Bingo. And could she please get that? Would that be possible? A few days later, she texted me that he had been projectile vomiting into other dogs' crates. He was very ill and needed to go to the vet, and I was in Mexico. I said, I'm not able to do that. She took the dog to the vet as per our request, and at that point, he had a flare-up of his IBS. We were not sure what the cause was. We came home. He was staying at the vet for 2 more nights. Pick up his belongings when we returned, and realized in the crate of items she gave us back, she had indeed replaced his food with a different type of food. That wasn't his prescribed food, which ultimately caused the flare-up in his IBS. He has a very sensitive puppy stomach and needs to be on a very specialized diet. I didn't
That means he should be with his mother.
Right. I didn't.
That means he should be with his mother. And his mother doesn't pack just enough food and then decide to stay in Mexico.
Well, it was a COVID situation at the time, so it was.
If you went in June, that was during COVID.
Well, the dog was in her care and was instructed to give medicine. So, I mean, that was. I entrusted her and her pet sitting service to provide the care.
Ms. Gladstone, personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. You've never had a pet before. You have a pet now that has, according to you, an illness in a young dog. Irritable bowel syndrome in a young dog is an unusual illness. I've had dogs all my life, so I know it is an unusual illness for a puppy. So listen to what you just told me. You went to Mexico during COVID. You left your puppy with her in June. In what month did you get the dog?
In April.
So you had the dog for, let's say, 8 weeks. During that 8 weeks, I assume you didn't buy the dog.
No, we adopted the dog. We adopted the dog, and we were not. It wasn't identified his IBS at that point in time.
Well, he should have been, because if you have a puppy that has a problem immediately, then the first thing you do is take it to a vet within the first week. Within the first 5 days, especially if you adopted the dog. What I'm telling you is this is what you just told me. You got a puppy. The puppy was sick. You went to Mexico in June for 5 days. You weren't supposed to be there for 5 days. You extended your stay, but you only provided the sitter for enough food for 2 days. You extended the stay and then said to her, this is what the dog needs for its stomach. According to you, she didn't get it. which would have said to me as a pet owner, you know what? The dog was sick. When it came back from her, she returned the dog in the crate. She told me that the dog was sick.
No, she
I'm
didn't.
Not leaving
She
my
didn't
dog
take the
again
dog.
with her.
No,
I'm-
she took. Okay.
She told you the dog was sick and projectile vomiting into other dogs' crates, and she took it to a vet. So, according to you, when you got the crate back, you saw that she didn't get the food that you asked her to get for you. So what did you do? You went away again and left your dog again with her.
Use her for a long period of time.
Your Honor.
Well, just a second. Did you use anyone else?
Yes, we did. We had my
Well, why didn't
husband's
you go
best
back?
friend's
Just-
daughter.
Miss
Because
Glad-
then it became...
Miss Gladstone, you're not following me. If I leave my child with a babysitter and I've given specific instructions to the babysitter and the instructions are not followed, I don't use that babysitter again. Because you did leave the dog again with her twice.
Right. I wasn't dissatisfied with her to that degree. I did not think anything like this could possibly occur. You're absolutely right.
Well,
and
just a
since
second,
then,
you
I
just
used
told-
her.
you-
I used
Miss-
her for day sitting. I used her for she does dog walking during the day. A lot of the dogs in the neighborhood go to her for play dates during the day from 10 to 3 or 4. I used her so that the dog could play with his friends and other dogs at her house, and I didn't feel like there would be an issue. So after time,
Well, that's what
we were going.
Miss Gladstone, pay attention. I asked you when you used her before. My question to you was a simple one when you went off. I said, when you used her before, because you said you had, were you satisfied? You said to me, not really. When I left her in June, and you proceeded to tell me the whole story.
Well, I had questions
you said
that
to me-
could prove.
I
couldn't prove it.
I said to you, were you satisfied? You said no. And if you weren't satisfied, I wouldn't have left my dog again. Anyway, what your whole lawsuit is about is that you claim that while the dog was in her care, the third time you left the dog with her on an overnight stay, and in between you would let her walk the dog, day sit the dog, and I assume continue to be satisfied, and other people in your neighborhood do the same thing, and according to you, that goes to her countersuit. You say that the dog required surgery. On what day did the dog require surgery? Was that the day you came home?
The day we chose to bring him to the vet the day after we came home because I have a letter from my vet right here if you'd like to see.
I don't read letters from a vet.
Okay, well, the vet
I
said
read
that he
medical
ingested
reports.
an
I mean, you
it's a
can't
medical
tell me-
report.
you
No, it's a
cannot-
medical report. This is a page from the medical report.
Just a second. I will absolutely read a medical report, not a letter.
Oh, no, I'm
Not a
sorry. I
letter. Not a
apologize.
to whom it
It's
may
a
concern.
page from the...
Not
no,
a to whom
no,
it may
no, no,
concern
no.
letter.
This is a medical
Yeah,
report.
right. Okay. Where did you go on October 23rd
Palm
to 25th?
Springs. We drove to Palm Springs for 2 nights.
Okay. When you came home from Palm Springs, you came home on the 25th.
Miss Shannon
You took the dog.
Shannon texted me
Just
Sunday morning.
Don't try to. We're not. You have to start to talk. You have to stop. I ask questions. I hope that you are taking in what I'm telling you. I'm a dog owner. I'm a dog owner who never lets their dog go someplace else overnight. Just not my thing. The dogs go with me where I go, especially a new puppy with IBS problems. Okay, you came home on the 25th and took the dog to the vet on the 26th. What time did you pick the dog up on the 25th?
I picked him up in the evening from Shannon's
What
house.
time?
I would say it was
What
about
time?
7 p.m. 7 p.m., Your Honor.
Okay. And what time did you take the dog to the vet on the 26th?
7 a.m.
And when did the dog have surgery?
6 p.m. that evening.
And now I'd like to see the vet report.
That's one piece of it. I have another.
Just a second. Shh. Just a second. Did the doctor give you what they had taken out?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
It's a rubber ball.
Oh, it's part of a rubber ball. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Miss Bishop,
Yes, Your Honor.
have you ever seen that before?
The evidence.
It's like a sponge ball.
I am so diligent about what toys I buy for the dogs that come to my house. I do not use balls small enough that dogs can tear them apart. I don't use...
No, that looks like a bigger ball.
This is
it
the
looks
same
like a bigger
size.
ball, but just a piece of it. Is that what it looks like?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If you're not angry with her, why would you post anything negative?
I'm angry because I took the dog and realized he was not well and needed to be treated immediately.
So why didn't you take him immediately?
Lori Gladstone claims her dog swallowed a foreign object while in the care of dog daycare owner Shannon Bishop.
Okay, I gather, Ms. Gladstone, from this report that I just read the following things. Dr. Liz said that discussed that foreign object most likely consumed within 24 hours of onset of clinical signs. Now, you went away on the 23rd. When did you speak to the defendant when she first reported to you that the dog was lethargic?
10:20. Bingo had thrown up 3 times over the backyard, his breakfast, and asked if he does that often.
That was on Sunday.
At 11:40.
That was the day you were coming home?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And that was the first time she had told you?
Yes.
He had
and
no
you would
symptoms.
drop the dog off?
He had no symptoms up until throwing up. He was playing Friday and Saturday like there was not a care in the world.
Right, so the...
Okay. According to this doctor,
correct,
the object was probably ingested within 24 hours of the onset of the problem, which means, Ms. Bishop, that the dog was in your care when the dog ingested something. Okay, Ms. Gladstone, since October, a month has passed since his surgery. How has he been?
Oh, when he recovered from the surgery, he's fabulous. He's on medication. He's on medication to control all of it.
Ms. Gladstone, the defendant, based upon what I'm reading, may or may not be partially responsible, but you seem to think that it was as a result of her negligence.
Right, and I will tell you why.
But this is somebody that not only you and all of your friends used consistently for daycare and for overnight care, so the dog playfully pulled it apart and ate a piece of that. That was the first time the dog was sick in her care, and according to you, it had been on play dates and daycare without overnights and at least 3 overnight visits, 1 for 5 days. So this isn't somebody who's a negligent person. Otherwise, you would be a stupid person to let your dog go to stay with her again at least twice overnight and multiple times during the day. You seem to be angry with her.
I'm not at all angry.
Well, if you're not angry and if you understand that she runs a business that you were satisfied with for many months and that took the burden off of you when you wanted to go to Mexico and Palm Springs, according to your vet, every other weekend. That's according to your vet, that he's taken care of by various sitters when you're out of town, which is frequently. You use her, and if you're not angry with her, explain the posts that you put up about her. You don't know how long that object had been in your dog. Your vet said probably ingested within 24 hours of the onset of the illness. She advised you at 11:40, not even 48 hours after you left the dog with her. It's possible that the dog ate something in her house. What I'm asking you is, if you're not angry with her, because you seem so angry with her.
I mean, look, it's an unfortunate situation. I was very happy with Shannon's care. I had suspicions about flare-ups in his IBS.
Okay.
I took the dog and realized he was not well and needed to be taken, treated immediately.
So why didn't you take him immediately?
It was late by the time we got him home, assessed him, tried to figure out what course of action to do because his vet was closed. And we thought, you know what, he's exhausted. He looks like he could sleep. We had spoken to the medical facility and they said, you most likely can bring him in the morning, let him sleep. So 7 a.m. we brought him to our vet. And she diagnosed him and and said he needed to be transported immediately for trauma.
Just a second. You picked up the dog, and the dog appeared to be sick. You said he wasn't himself. We were very worried. He had been throwing up, and he looked awful. My dog, at 7 o'clock at night, I would have taken him to an emergency vet. That's what I would have done.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
But when you are in a service business and somebody is dissatisfied, they are entitled to communicate with their friends her opinion. That doesn't mean that I, her dog.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lori Gladstone says dog daycare owner Shannon Bishop owes for vet bills after Lori's dog swallowed a foreign object while in Shannon's care.
Okay. May I see what she wrote about you on the internet?
These were Facebook posts, some of them. I've highlighted some of them. Not even money will make this okay.
I've never mentioned her name once. Never mentioned her name.
Just a second. I'm just reading it. It was clearly not supervised. Well, that's your opinion. She's allowed to say that. It was clearly not supervised. Keep going. Okay. Ms. Bishop, I'm going to address your counterclaim.
Okay.
I'm dismissing your counterclaim. I'm dismissing your counterclaim because she is clearly someone who was angry and upset. Her dog was sick. She probably almost lost the dog. She's clearly attached to the dog. She's never had an animal before. She leaves the dog with other people when they go away. And the dog is a dog that has its own problems and had its own problems from probably a very young age, who probably this exacerbated, ingesting something in whose ever care exacerbated a pre-existing condition. Certainly. She was upset. Certainly. And she was venting to friends and neighbors. I'm sorry that you had people cancel.
The problem with that is 90% of my business is referral and word of mouth. I only have my reputation to go on. So when this being thrown through the mud through people who know me and could possibly potential customers, that's a problem for me.
That's always true. But when you are in a service business and somebody is dissatisfied, they are entitled to communicate with their friends of her opinion. That doesn't mean that I, in a legal sense, believe you're responsible for what happened to her dog.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. She left her dog with you for 48 hours. Within that period of time, the dog developed symptoms that she said hadn't happened before. Well, she came home, and what she didn't do the night that she came home is she went to sleep, put the dog to sleep until the next morning. And if your dog is that sick, then if you are a dog person, which you're becoming, you take the dog to an emergency facility if you think that it's a life-threatening. I can't. Well, if you didn't think that it was life-threatening, why would you think that she would think it's life-threatening?
Because she's a professional, and I didn't realize he was throwing up all day. I just wanted to know.
I don't understand. I actually don't think you should have an animal. Actually. I think that you have a certain lifestyle, and your lifestyle is inconsistent with caring for an animal that's going to be sick probably and be on medication forever.
Well, that's not what the doctor wrote in her report. The doctor.
Anyway, your case is dismissed. We're finished. We're done.
Case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy, a trucker takes a spin with the company credit card.
The refrigerator trailer ran out of fuel because he was in gambling.
You know that I think that you're a thief.
Judge Judy.
This dog is a part of our life. It's our family.
I was not negligent. I am so careful about how I care for those dogs like they're my own.
You know, we're just happy Bingo's back and healthy, and, you know, we can move on.
He's a super cute dog. He's a handful, but I'm glad he's okay.
Her friend's dog was too frisky.
Pappy came all off leash at this point.
Then the tables turned.
Her dog got your dog in its mouth. The dog was rushed to a vet, had to have surgery.
Was the threat obvious?
The defendant's dog has attacked other dogs before.
Each time she says was the other dog's fault.
This is Judge Judy. Michelle Kirby and boyfriend Tim Lim are suing their former friend Niharika Venad for vet bills due to a dog attack.
Judge, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Kirby Lim versus Venad. Parties have been sworn in.
Thank you, Burb. Miss Kirby, this is your boyfriend, and I assume he's here because he covered some of this bill, or does he co-own the dog with you?
He co-owns the dog.
So, Mr. Lim, why don't you have a seat for a moment?
Sure.
If I need you, I'll call you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir. Okay. You and the defendant were friends. You made an appointment to meet for some wine, conversation, and take your dogs to a dog park. You had 2 dogs with you, a small dog, a miniature pinscher, and a dog that you say you were fostering. What kind of dog were you fostering?
They said that she was a shepherd mix.
Much larger dog.
Yes, larger breed.
And the defendant has a full-grown dog park, and you both let your dogs off leash, correct?
Yes, it wasn't a dog park. It was more of an open space, just to clarify.
So it's not a formal dog park, and you all let your dogs off leash. How many dogs were there that were off leash?
That's correct. So it was my 2 dogs that I had with me, Nee's dog and then my friend Abby's dog, so 4 dogs.
And what kind of dogs does your friend Abby have?
She has a Bernedoodle.
And your pinscher weighs how much?
17 pounds.
According to you, what happened was that the dogs were sort of playing around, and Pappy, your dog, yipped or barked at the defendant's German Shepherd. And they're all off leash at this point. How far away from you and Miss Vinod were the dogs when your dog yipped or barked?
They were pretty far, and then they came closer. So they were arriving at the park. The barking started.
You mean, just a second, you mean they had gone far away from all of you?
Oh, no, they were just arriving. So we had just arrived. We were there probably for 15 minutes, and Nee was not there yet. So it was me and Abby, and our dogs were playing, and then about...
So it was you and your other friend, and the defendant arrived last.
Correct.
And your dogs and Abby's...
They were.
And the defendant came to join you with her dog. Did you drive there by car or did you walk, Miss Vinod?
I got there by car. It is about a 7-minute walk to the spot that they were at.
When you got out of your car with your dog for this 7-minute walk to where they were, was your dog on leash?
Yes, he was.
At what point did you take your dog off leash?
When I got there and I saw their dogs playing off leash, I took their lead and I got Rocket off leash.
Before or after you said hello to them?
They were at the far end from the point where I entered, so I just smiled at them. The dogs were in the middle. I let Rocket off leash, and I was walking towards Michelle. She was sitting on a picnic bench at that point to set my things.
Just a second, but you took your dog off leash when you saw her dog and Abby's dog playing in the distance. You took your dog off leash.
That is correct.
And did your dog run over to where the other dogs were playing?
No, ma'am. My dog is trained to heel while I'm walking.
And did the dog heel while you were walking?
Yes, he did.
At what point did he join the other dogs in play, or did he not?
Ma'am, we hadn't started officially playing. He was heeling while walking. And while I was going towards Michelle, although my dog was off leash, Pappy came barking at us.
When she arrived, you saw her walking, and the defendant says that her dog was at her side. I tend to believe that, and that little Pappy ran up to her dog, who was at her side. Is that correct?
Yes.
And yipped, like sometimes little dogs do. They jump up, whether it went to nip, whether it went to greet, I don't know. And you did see your dog running towards hers, and something happened before her dog, which was at her side, got your dog in its mouth. You saw something happen. That's what you say in your complaint. A yip or something.
Oh, he barked. No, he barked, he yipped. I did not see any lunging or nipping at the face. I've never seen him do that ever before. But he did bark at it. And I didn't see it that day either, that's for sure.
But the German Shepherd was at the side of the owner.
For the most part. I wouldn't say he was right next to her the whole time. He definitely, there's some space that had increased as they approached the table.
How many feet would you say Pappy ran when the other dog came into the park? I'm a dog owner, and I have small dogs. I know. But say Pappy ran 50 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet from where the dogs were playing to where the defendant was with her dog. How many feet?
I would say 40 feet, or to guess.
Okay. So your dog traveled 40 feet away from where you were?
Yes. I have a picture of the location, if that's helpful.
I'll look at it.
Yeah. So this is the spot where we met. This is the table that I was sitting at. And then you can see right over here is where Nee and her dog entered. So it was probably about 30, 40 feet from where we were sitting at this table.
Okay. Anyway, what happened was tragic because her dog, according to you, picked up your dog, bit Pappy, which caused serious injury. Dog was rushed to a vet, had to have surgery. Your vet bills were over $5,000. Dog had to remain in the center. And the defendant went with you to the vet. And I think if what I read is correct, the first $850 was taken from your credit card.
That is correct. That is correct. I drove Michelle and Pappy to the vet.
Great. And it's clear that $850 was never paid back to her, nor is she asking for that now because I don't have a counterclaim. We're off leash. But from what she tells me and what you seem to acknowledge is that her dog was under her control and your dog was not. You know, I always say when you go to a dog park and you release your dogs and they're out there playing, you've lost control of an animal. The defendant says, and I believe her, that her dog is trained to heel. And in fact, did that when they walked into the park. It was your dog that ran across the park 30 or 40 feet, according to you, and that was where the confrontation was. And how many times previously to this date in June did you have occasion to be in the company of the defendant's dog?
Less than 10 times, but we would meet up at parks to let our dogs play.
Okay, so has your dog and her dog interacted before without incident?
Yes.
You say in your complaint that Rocket, that is the defendant's dog, has attacked other dogs before, so Nee should not have taken him to the dog park. Well, when did you find out about that?
Before the incident, I did find out. He had attacked large dogs. Each time, she says, it was the other dog's fault, but has never taken... Well, just a second. So before the interview that you knew that this 120-pound German Shepherd, according to you, that the defendant told you that the dog had had other incidents with big dogs. Why in the world would you let a small dog have 10 play dates with a dog that you knew had incidents? I didn't imagine that a dog that big would care about a dog so small. I've never seen a dog react to such a small dog in that way. He's not in any threat whatsoever. He's 17 pounds.
Okay, well, that's a ridiculous answer. That's a ridiculous answer. Absolutely, it's a ridiculous answer, Ms. Kirby. What you are ascribing to a dog is a thought process that sometimes not even humans get. What you're doing is you're ascribing to the dogs a human thought process. Why in the world would I start up with a big dog like a German Shepherd? No. I'm just a little dog. I'm just a pincher. Oh, that's ridiculous.
No, I'm talking about like the big dogs. So like for me, example, I'm also roughly the same weight as Rocket, like about 120 pounds. If something approached me that was 17 pounds, why would I feel the need to try to kill it or pick it up and throw it around in its mouth? It's not...
I just said to you, you are ascribing to a dog a human's thought process.
And I'd never seen anything like that before.
Well, whether you've ever seen money at all. You took your dog, your 17-pound dog, on 10 play dates with a 120-pound dog without incident, and according to you, you had information before that that would have said to somebody, I'm not going to take my dog for another play date with this dog because it has vicious propensity. I wouldn't take my dogs off leash.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Is that about basically right?
Well, there's a little more backstory to it, but basically...
You know, at my stage in life, I'm not so interested in other people's backstory. I hardly remember my own backstory.
Michelle Kirby says a German Shepherd, owned by former friend Niharika Vinod, attacked her miniature pinscher during a visit to a park.
I have a child who has two big dogs. They're wonderful, loving dogs. I have never seen them bite anybody. I have a new little dog And I don't bring my new little dog to those dogs until I'm perfectly comfortable if they're off leash. Whether my little dog gets annoying, because sometimes they don't know that they're little. Little dogs don't know that they're little. Sometimes little dogs think they're huge. They're lap dogs. Go on YouTube and look at the Great Dane that tries to snuzzle in with its owner on the couch because it thinks it's a lap dog. That's what happened. If you choose, you're the parent. Your pinscher is a toddler. If you choose to put your toddler at risk by taking your toddler to a playfield where there are teenagers, it's possible that when they're running and playing touch football, they're going to hurt the toddler. So I wouldn't take my toddler.
Here's like the example that...
This isn't a conversation that we're having. You don't have a case against her.
Well, here's the thing, Your Honor, I'm sorry, if you may please let me explain that.
You have
her dog was not healing when he attacked my dog and did not let my dog go.
We're done.
Your Honor,
we're done. You have no case against her. Goodbye. We're done. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
Their dog approached our dog 3 times.
My dog barked at her dog?
We moved away about 25 to 30 feet away, but their dog continued to run towards us.
Then her dog picked up my dog in his mouth and shook him back and forth as if you're a rodent or prey that he was trying to kill.
Barking, lunging, and nipping the face.
When her dog finally did let go of my dog,
which is a clear indication of attack,
I had to pick him up and apply pressure so that he wouldn't bleed to death as we got to the vet.
They are not necessarily the primary aggressors in a situation.
He's okay today.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Giavelli versus Perkins. Step forward.
Lawrence Giavelli is suing his ex-girlfriend, Regina Perkins, for the return of a motorcycle she was storing for him.
Mr. Giavelli, this is an interesting case. According to your complaint, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, did you a favor. Back in 2010, you were for some reason moving from one place to another. You were sort of short on funds. You asked her if she could store your motorcycle in her garage. She said, sure. You know, you said, well, when I get enough money to have it shipped to where I want it to go, I'll send you the money and you'll ship it. Well, it's now 3 years later, and you want your motorcycle. And Miss Perkins says you can have your motorcycle when you pay her storage fees for the motorcycle, because she only agreed to keep the motorcycle for 6 months. You didn't pick it up in 6 months, so she has chosen an arbitrary figure of $250 a month storage, so she's got a counterclaim for $5,000. Miss Perkins, in what city and state is this motorcycle?
Oxnard, California.
And where do you live, sir?
Brandywine, Maryland.
And you had it over the last 3 years?
No, ma'am.
Was the story that I laid out when we started this approximately correct? 3 years ago, he left it there, wants it back, so you can have it back, pay the fees. Is that about basically right?
About basically right, yes, ma'am.
Well, there's a little more backstory to it, but yes, basically.
You know, at my stage in life, I'm not so interested in other people's backstory. I hardly remember my own backstory.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have a picture of the bike right here.
I don't want to see it unless it's of a good-looking guy in a bathing suit. I am not interested in a picture of your motorcycle.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lawrence Giavelli says ex-girlfriend Regina Perkins won't return a motorcycle she is storing for him. Regina is countersuing for storage fees.
What year was this motorcycle?
That's 2001.
And when did you buy it?
2009.
Don't ask me, was that a question mark at the end?
2009, yes.
How much did you pay for it?
$1,500.
Was that a question mark?
No, it's $1,500, ma'am.
And you did not drive it over the last 3 years?
No, ma'am.
Anybody else drive it?
No, ma'am.
Great. So now you got an old motorcycle that's 12 years old, laying in a garage, that you think is worth as much today as it was when you bought it in 2009. I'm just trying to understand where you're coming from.
Well, I have a picture of the bike right here.
I don't want to see a picture unless it's of a good-looking guy in a bathing suit. I am not interested in a picture of your motorcycle. I just want to understand, your position is that this motorcycle that you bought in 2009 for $1,500 is worth the same today, despite the fact that nobody has started it, touched it, moved it, polished it, oiled it, greased it, whatever they do, lionized it or anything else for the past 3 years. I just want to know if that's your position. That requires a yes,
Yes, ma'am.
or a no. Great. Ms. Perkins, did you have an agreement with Mr. Giavelli to pay you storage for the motorcycle?
No.
So you cannot create a contract because you decide to create a contract unilaterally.
Okay, the agreement was he could keep the bike there till August of 2011.
Great. And if that's your agreement, and if you took it to the dump after that and treated it as abandoned property, if you could satisfy me that that was true, you would have been within your rights. You say, I notified him. I said, come and get your motorcycle or I'm throwing it in the garbage. And he didn't come. You could have thrown it away. Do you understand? But you can't create a contract with him. $250 is your arbitrary figure that you pulled out of thin air.
Actually, I called storage companies, and they gave me, I called 3 of them, and I got an average. That's how I got it. It wasn't just arbitrary out of my head.
Well, it is an arbitrary figure when you are creating a contract. So what I'm telling you is you could have thrown it away, but you tell me you didn't throw it away, that it's still sitting there.
Correct.
Great. Now, Mr. Giavelli, do you want your motorcycle back?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know what state you're in now?
California.
Do you know what state your motorcycle is in?
California.
Go and get it.
Yes, ma'am.
And what are you going to do with it when you go and get it?
Take it back to Maryland.
Just for my own information, how do you propose to do that?
Have it shipped.
Have it shipped?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know how much that's going to cost?
About $700.
And you think the motorcycle is worth double that?
Yes, ma'am.
So it would be worthwhile for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
Cycle. We will give you an order. You have the title. Go with the police to her garage and get your motorcycle.
I don't think that's fair, Your Honor, because out of respect, I didn't take it to the dump, and I took care of it for him for 3 years now. And I think I should be compensated for my time and effort and the things that it's cost me.
What have you done with the motorcycle over the last 3 years? You've already told me that nobody drove it.
Right. Out of respect for the gentleman and his property, I
just
didn't want
wanted to know
anything
this.
to happen to it.
You said cost time and effort and money. I just want you to tell me.
That's right. I have a picture of where it's stored, and it prevented me from using that whole side of my house.
Could have thrown it away.
When he left it, it leaked oil on my driveway.
24 hours, go and pick up your motorcycle.
ma'am.
Your counterclaims system.
You know, when I called the police, they told me I didn't have to give it to him because possession was 9/10 of the law.
Are you still talking? I'm not listening anymore.
Okay.
Excuse, you may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
That was an accident. Instead of reversing their boat, they suddenly accelerated. There are a lot of boats out there, and you don't know what in the world you're doing.
Next Judge Judy.
Out of respect, I didn't write it. I didn't use it. I took care of it.
Nothing. Friendship's over, I guess.
He did send his son at one point, but that was 14 months after the agreement to come and get it.
I just waited for her to get off work, and she called the police and said that I'm stalking her.
The police told him I didn't have to give it to him because possession was 9/10 of the law.
He said, well, it's on her property, and if I try to get the bike, it's breaking and entering. And unless she brings it out onto the sidewalk, I can't get it.
If I had left my property with someone,